Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like, yeah. Here comes the.
Yo, what is going on YouTube? Man, every time I try to go live, I always try to, come in with as much enthusiasm as I could possibly bring to the table. And for those of you guys that know me, I'm usually the most optimistic person around. But after today's breaking news that sent our quarterback, our superstar quarterback, and Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos, I've had a heavy heart with me all day long. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't go to bed until about 8 a.m. this morning. And I wake up around 11 o'clock and I'm getting all this. My phone is getting blown up. I'm getting texts, I'm getting calls, I'm getting messages all across social media. And I'm seeing all these rumors. I'm seeing all these reports. I'm seeing all breaking news all over the place. Russ Wilson just traded to the Denver Broncos. And I thought this was fake news. I thought, somebody kind of just messing around, just trying to troll social media and whatnot. Because there's a lot of fake accounts out there, that kind of go viral for breaking, false news, such as, well, I guess this isn't false, but I honestly don't even know how to start. But joining me today, I'll have a plethora of guests hopping in and out throughout the show and trying to tackle this question. Why? Just why? Why now? Why did we trade Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos? Why? Well, I might have an answer for you guys, as will some of my guests. But for those of you guys that are tuned in, thank you so much. Obviously, this wasn't planned. I don't think anyone saw this Russell Wilson trade happening. But before I bring on some of the guests that I have on board, I do want to address some of you guys in the comment section. My guy Kyle, what's up, Steezy? Sad days in Seattle. And I don't know if you guys read the description, but this has to go down. March 8th, 2022 has to go down as one of the saddest days in Seattle sports history. I know there's some tough days out there. We're talking about when the Sonics left to go to Oklahoma City back in, July 2nd of 2008. There was Gary Payton being traded from the Sonics to the Milwaukee Bucks back in 2002 of February. Ken Griffey Jr. being traded from the Mariners to the Cincinnati Reds back in 2000. There's so many devastating days in Seattle sports history. This has to be up there. I don't think anyone, like I said at the top of the show, I don't think anyone anticipated Russ Wilson leaving Seattle, at least this year. I was on record telling people that, if Russ Wilson's going to leave Seattle, it won't be this offseason. It's going to be next year. And like I said, I woke up to some tragic, very, very tragic news. I honestly, I couldn't get out of bed. That's how bad it was. And I still, for me, it's kind of hard to talk about such a topic. And so I really appreciate you guys for joining me. And it's just, wow. Let's just address some of the people here. Squabbo, man, I really wish Squabbo would have been able to hop on. But because he wasn't, then here he is in the chat. Thank you so much, my brother. Payo, what's going on, bro? Okay, so he has a quick question. Do the Seahawks eat any cap for the Wilson trade? Yes, negative $26 million against the cap in dead cap money this year. And so while Seattle was ripe with cap space entering the offseason, they pretty much canceled it out by trading away Russell Wilson. They could have saved a lot more if they waited until next offseason, but for whatever reason, I'm really oh my gosh, hold on. Seahawks release Bobby Wagner. Is anybody else seeing this? Seahawks release Bobby Wagner. Seattle parting ways with franchise. Breaking news after 10 years with the team. Adam Schefter. Nick, are you seeing this? We just cut Bobby B Wags. What? And then Nick LeBeau, for those of you guys who don't know, man, this man, along with Seahawks Smart, is a kid genius. He'll be hopping on the show in just a second. Oh my gosh. Oh, yo, hey, I'm at a loss for words. Oh my gosh. My guy Devin, hey, thank you so much for the super chat. Damn, Steezy, sad day. I've got too many Bronco fan friends giving me a hard time. This kills me. Let's get hell yeah, let's go get Deshaun Watson. I mean, my gosh, no more Bobby Wagner, no more Russell Wilson, no more holdovers from those Super Bowl title winning contended squads. I mean, would it be wrong if I was to cry on air? I mean, my gosh, man. What? Third worst day in Seahawks history behind our 2 Super Bowl losses. I forgot to even bring up the Super Bowl 49 choke job. That definitely has to be up there and one of the worst days in Seattle sports history. My guy Tristan Pratt, thank you so much for tuning in. Gary Payne leaving for the Lakers. Hey, Steezy, I hope you're cool, bro. Not here to troll. I hope Seattle fans can celebrate what they had with Wilson. But of course, bro, thank you so much for being so thoughtful. My guy Eric Payne, man. I'm so hurt, bro. Me feeling like a Cowboy fan now, Tony M. Saya, what's good, my brother? Miles Peacock, what's going on, brother, man? Oh, man. Yeah, you know what? I think it's time to bring some people on board, bro. Lori Cross, how are you doing, miss? I hope you're feeling wonderful. Bobby released. First reaction is Steezy. Hey, yo, y'all. So for my first guest, I want to bring on, he's kind of been a regular on the show, but he is 1/3 of the Bolts, a weekly sports debate show that I do every single Friday on Ask Squabble Says his YouTube channel, the one and only Dylan Brewski, the host of Monday Night Fight Talk on YouTube. Please welcome Dylan Brewski.
Hey, man, this sucks. This, man,
Oh, Dylan.
We couldn't. I mean, once we traded Russ, I was all for blowing this whole thing up. Why are we releasing Bobby? We couldn't find any trade for him to get any sort of capital. I don't understand what's going on. Oh man, why would we? I just don't get it. Releasing him?
I guess if there's a silver lining, we do save $20.3 million. Or no, excuse me, $16.6 million off the cap. So that kind of offsets Russ Wilson's dead money. It's what $26 million in dead money, $16.6 million in cap savings. So it's about $10 million.
But it's still like, if we're getting rid of Russ and Bobby, the 2 cornerstones of our team, are we really going somewhere with a cap reaction? Like, when we have the cap, like, that's great, but we just lost the 2 leaders in our offense. And I don't know if I'm still trying to figure out what we're trying to do. If we traded Bobby, okay, I get it. We're going full rebuild mode. We are starting over. Totally understandable. But we're releasing Bobby to get more cap after trading our franchise quarterback, which is responsible for, let's be honest, about 90% of our success over the last 5 seasons. I mean, we saw what it was like without Russell Wilson this year. It was horrible. I'm still trying to figure. I don't understand the Bobby move. I don't get releasing him instead of trying to trade him.
Hey, I'm doing my best right now to fight back tears, so I apologize, y'all. Before I bring on the next guest, though, Dylan, I gotta ask, bro, what were you doing when the news broke? Like, because I had just said, I woke up to all this. So
I was at work, and I was sitting there, and I was just doing my job, minding my own business, and I have a coworker who. He's one of those coworkers that likes to joke around a lot. He'll say some stuff and it'll just be outrageous. And you're kind of like, okay, whatever. So he said that. He was the one who told me. And so I blew it off. I was like, yeah, okay. Russell Wilson's traded, I'm sure. And then I got the ESPN alert, and I was like, "Now wait." And like, oh man, they talked about how great the package was we were getting in return, and then we saw the package, and it was like, okay, it wasn't the draft capital. I'm not too upset about. Because I know we said 3 firsts, but 2 firsts and 2 seconds. I'm not mad about it. But I would have been more okay with taking 2 firsts and 2 seconds if we get a Ronald Darby, a Kyle Fuller, a Bradley, some player on that, an offensive lineman. We need offensive linemen, corners, and pass rushers. And yeah, we got Shelby Harris, whose career high in sacks is 6. Okay, we got... I can't even talk about Drew Lock. If I start talking about Drew Lock, my head will literally explode. I would rather... Steezy, I'm going to look at you. I would rather have you play quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, and I've never seen you throw the football, than Drew Lock. And then we get Noah Fant, who's the best player by far that we got. But it's probably going to be a 1-year rental because we're not going to pay him. And he still has Drew Lock throwing to him. I mean, what can he do? I don't understand it. Drew Lock. Like, we couldn't even get Teddy. Like, give me Teddy.
Bro, we couldn't get Pat Surtain.
Yeah,
we couldn't get Bradley Chubb. We couldn't get somebody.
If we would, honestly, you could keep all 3 of those players if you gave us Pat Surtain or Bradley Chubb, one or the other, and I would have been fine with that trade package because we're getting a franchise player. These are all... Shelby Harris isn't going to... I mean, he might get us 5 sacks. Awesome. Cool. Drew Lock's going to get us about 57 interceptions. And Noah Fant's going to do all right. But again, he's a 1-year rent. We're not going to afford him next year. We're not going to want to. Because he's going to be I'm not going to sit here and act like he's an elite tight end, but he's still a good tight end. And he's going to want good tight end money. And if we're in a full rebuild, we're not going to pay a tight end. So I'm still... The player return really irks me. The draft capital, again, I'm not too upset about. We get a top 10 pick this year. I'm fairly thrilled about that. I have no idea what we're going to do with it now. I hope to God we don't draft a quarterback. If we're releasing Bobby, that probably means... Squabo tweeted it earlier. Dwayne Brown's probably gone. DK's probably gone too. We're cleaning house. So if we have the number 9 pick, we need to take an offensive lineman, a corner, something to where we can build our team up. But a quarterback, especially in a weak quarterback class like this is, I get it. You have some good guys. Malik Willis, I think, is the best quarterback in this draft. But if we're trading everybody away or releasing everybody, what's the point in getting him? We're setting the guy up for failure if we do that, basically. And another thing that irks me is I don't understand why Pete and John are still here and Russell Wilson is not. That will be the question till the day I die. Why did the Seahawks keep Pete Carroll and John Schneider over Russell Wilson? It makes no sense to me.
Hey, Dylan, we know what they say. Misery loves company, right? So why not bring a 49er fan into the building? I'm talking about my big brother representing the GMM network. Please, I haven't had him on the channel yet, but please show my man some love. All social media platforms. Let's waste no more time. Let's bring him on board. Bogar Scarfree, what's going on, my brother?
Hey, I feel y'all pain. You know what I mean? And your pain runs deep. and I say share it with me, because I am one with the dark side, and the dark side of the force is fueled by pain. And I'll tell you this is doing of the dark side. I tell you, crazy old Pete, and then I always I'm on record for calling him old and senile. Like that, every time someone brings up Pete Carroll, I say, he has a successful talk show. I love Ellen DeGeneres, but and so he could have done that instead of coaching. But here we are in his elder twilight years. He's old and crazy and senile. And this is kind of like an example of it. The Wagner thing. The trade to me, I thought was maybe kind of, I couldn't judge it yet because I was like, oh, they're going to get Watson now. You know what I mean? That's the first thing I thought of. Like, oh, now they're armed up, picks, all that. They're going to get Watson. They wait till April 1st. Then if say he gets charged after April 1st, then they're like, you know what? Now we can try to get Malik Willis or Pickett or whatever, because this is a team that historically is not afraid to put the rookie that they think is ready in there. They did this with Russ. And if you're old and senile, like Pete Carroll is, / Ellen DeGeneres these days, you would definitely believe that you could do it again. Like you could strike lightning in a bottle twice. And it's going to be interesting. I think if you guys get Watson, man, because in my personal opinion, I think it's going to be some settlements paid, and he's not going to get charged or anything. And then you guys have, the picks to do so. I mean, maybe he don't want to go there because the line, maybe Dwayne Brown, is a guy he can call. Personally, players do that. Hey, man, how is it over there? Oh, man, you're going to love it here. Maybe that'll help. You know what I mean? Because I think Snyder, this is definitely their last hurrah. You know what I mean? This is definitely, I think no matter what happens here, this is their last hurrah, right? As a regime in Seattle. And I think they're trying to rekindle this thing one more time. I mean, I don't think Russell Wilson or what you guys did with him is replicable. It could be replicated. You know what I mean? And but if you're old and crazy, Pete Carroll, and senile, did I mention that? He'll probably think he could do this again.
Hey,
yeah.
And I have arrived. It's good to be here.
Bro, hey, real quick though, before I bring on the next guest, just so we can start attacking some of these questions.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, obviously, you know that the Seahawks, our Seattle Seahawks, Dylan and I. All right, Bogart, real quick, if you haven't met Dylan, this is Bogart, and Bogart, this is Dylan, one of my good friends.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, bro.
So because we've owned you guys, right, in these last, I don't know how many years,
yeah.
Are you relieved? Are you
I mean, I think, the lease was up. You know what I mean?
Lease was up.
The lease was up, so we're free to run. You know what I mean? But the Rams still kind of, now we can together hate the Rams. You know what I mean? And together we can destroy the Sith. You know what I mean? It's just that's just how it's going to be from now on. Because, I mean, if the Saints were any kind of foreshadow of what could happen when the face of the franchise, 90% of the success, embodied in one player leaves, you see what it looks like, for the Saints, and we seen a glimpse of it when it looked like with Geno Smith. And I swear to God, y'all should have got Teddy Roosevelt. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you guys got Teddy Roosevelt over there, you know what I mean? I mean, he's only a couple years removed from producing 3 WR2s. You know what I mean? Like, and then now he would have Lockett and DK, right? Like that would be nasty. You know what I'm saying?
And we chose Drew Lock over that.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And that's where the old and crazy senile thing comes into play again. You know what I mean?
The thing with Teddy Bridgewater is he's not going to lose you the game, but he's also not going to win you the game. Drew Lock will lose you the game. He will be the exact reason you lose.
All those pick parties he be throwing,
yeah.
You feel me? Hey, look, Drew Lock, this is his move right here. He rolls out right to the right and then throws a big ass pick. You know what I mean? That's his move. You know what I mean? He does it all the time, bro. He has it down. And and what's crazy about Drew Lock, in my opinion, is I think his claim to fame is that his name sounds like a little like Andrew Luck. You know what I mean? I think that's the closest he gets to anything good about football. You know, and Drew Lock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He probably got, hey, are you Andrew Luck? Like, the people see him in the bar, he just runs with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
You know
That's
what I mean?
me.
Because,
I'm in the league.
if they knew he was Drew Lock, you know what I mean? They wouldn't talk to him.
No.
Reception would be a little bit different. But real quick, I do want to address Alina because last time in one of our live streams, I completely forgot to address her. So Alina, thank you so much for spending your Tuesday evening with us. She's asking, can you imagine if we got Tom Brady back out of retirement? Hey, I'm hearing that if he comes out of retirement, it could be to San Fran because I don't know if it's gonna be back with Tampa Bay. So
I made the phone call, and you know, we're in California. We have like the greatest avocados. You know what I mean? We're really close to Mexico. Right. You know, it's part of like his prerequisite. You know what I mean? Because he is an avocado these days. You know what I mean? You guys see Tom Brady, I see avocado. You know what I mean? And yeah. As long as avocados exist, he has a chance to still be great. You know what I mean? And right. Yeah, I think the Niners would be, especially because he hates Jimmy G. He would love to go there and smite him. Like, you know what, Jimmy? Let me show you how it's done. You know what I mean? With your own team. You know what I mean?
Hey, I could definitely see him sticking it to him just like that. I mean,
yeah, for real.
You know, he doesn't have. I feel like, they had a good, you know, mentoree relationship, but outside of that, I just don't see Tom Brady being the biggest Jimmy Garoppolo fan. And so to kind of show him out.
Oh yeah, I mean. Here's the thing with Jimmy is Jimmy just knows how to drive like a nice car. You know what I mean? It's a Ferrari, you know, but he's not like a real car and driver guy. Like, you know, he's gonna burn the clutch a few times. You know what I mean? And he's Jimmy, so he smiles and you're like, I love the guy. You know what I mean? He's probably got far in life like that. You know what I mean? Just like making mistakes. He just like his girl catches him cheating on her. He's like, hey, she's like, you know, I love you. You know what I mean? Like, he just gets away like that. And I think we're just over that now. You know what I mean? We got Lance. I think the future's bright. You know what I mean? Because just opening up a new playbook, you know what I mean? And having a kid be able to sit and learn, you know, said playbook for a while. You know what I mean? And then you mix in the doubt, which I think, you know, tends to help. You know, real winners, bro. You know what I mean? Give him a little dose of doubt. Because if he comes out there flat, he's not a real winner. You know what I mean? And that's what's funny about guys like Jimmy. Jimmy's a winner. You know what I mean? He's not. You know, I have a saying. I actually wanted to sell T-shirts that said, "We win ugly with handsome Jimmy." You know what I mean? Because that's how you could describe Jimmy's career as a Niner starter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, basically. I heard rumors of Jimmy G coming to Seattle for a year, and I'm like, please no. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it's no disrespect to Jimmy G. Like you said, when he's on the 49ers, all he does is win. It's not pretty, but he wins.
A Ferrari. It's like a Ferrari. You just got to drive it. Don't crash it.
But it's like, why would the Seahawks get Jimmy G for like a year? What would be the point of
2023 draft? 2023
Seahawks
draft
right now are like what, like a Subaru? Would you say like the Seahawks are like a suit, like, you know, like one of them W?
Bro, right now, bro, we a Honda Civic, bro. I wouldn't even go that far. We're like a
Nissan. We're not a Honda Civic.
Oh, we're a Nissan?
One of them hatchback joints?
Yeah, bro, we got Drew Lock. Yes, we're a Nissan.
Hey, hold on, y'all. Okay, look, so I'm about to bring on another guest before we continue to dive in. I just met my guy the other day at the mall. And so I know he's a big Seahawks guy. He talks a lot of Seattle sports. Please welcome Mr. Alex Stewart.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
How you feeling, bro?
I'm still in shock, dude. I was just like Dylan. I was at work. It was like right before my lunch break, and my coworker just casually walked by and said, "Hey, Russ is going to Denver." And I was like, whatever, dude. No, I was like, you're lying. Whatever. And then we sat down and I hopped on Twitter on my lunch break and saw Schefter was reporting it. And I couldn't believe it, man. It's like just a weird feeling.
Bro, like, oh my gosh. And then when we started the stream, Bobby Wagner gets released. Like, yo, when it rains, it does pour in Seattle, y'all. So for anybody out there that's looking to move to Seattle, just know that when it rains, it pours.
Hey, they got some good ass coffee though.
That among other things, which we probably don't want to touch on, but but you know what? I'm just gonna bring everyone on board. Lovely flowers.
Yes,
Lovely.
it rains. It rains a lot, so you get lovely flowers.
That's what I'm saying. You know,
Yeah,
a lot of rain tends to bring out the best in flowers and plants, and so we'll leave it at that. But instead of having to bring people on, at different times, I don't want to keep y'all waiting. Alex, thanks for hopping on board. But the next guy that I want to introduce, Mr. Guru, he was on our first live stream. If you guys were there for the Super Bowl, I like to think he's a Seahawks fan, but sometimes I get the vibe that he's not. And so I'm real curious to kind of see where he stands. I know he was on record telling me that Russ, he wasn't long for Seattle. And so the floor is yours, my man. But please, and before I even bring him on board, World of Sports Network, Guru's Film Room on Instagram, on Twitter, show my man some love. But please welcome on board Mr. Guru.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's the G to the U to the R to the U. Fellas, fellas, man. Damn,
hey, I'm a big fan,
man?
Guru. I'm a big fan. I want to say.
Well, we got the male soap opera going on right here, man. What's up, man? I like this shit. As long as we ain't talking about no relationship shit, we good, man. This is a different show, right? We ain't worried about relationship. We ain't worried about
But it kind of
passion.
is like a relationship. Like, listen, I have no horse in this race, technically, even though, like, I'm glad to see Russell leave our division based on competition alone, right? You know what I mean? Because I'm in that division. But it is like a relationship. Like, I'm witnessing the breakup. Like you know what I mean? And I feel for y'all, for real.
So, hey, I love that because that's how I felt. Because you all know I'm the outsider. I consider this myself like this. You know that in high school, you have that kid that come from a big city somewhere and he's a new kid in your school. I'm the new kid in Seattle, right? I've been here, they're like, but I'm not really a native, but I've been here long enough to know how to feel. You know what I'm saying? And get the emotion. I know how the emotion is out here. So this was cool. Like I was telling Steezy, I saw this coming. It's like one of those relationship situations. I saw Russell Wilson, aka the girlfriend. I saw him already looking at other dudes. I saw him. But y'all Seattle fans, the boyfriends, they're like, you can believe. They're like, nah, that's my guy. He will never do that. He don't cheat. He don't drink. He don't smoke. He's like, go Hawks. Yeah. But I'm like, yo, when your back turned, I saw him at the club last night, bro. He was looking at the fat booty. I saw him, dog. Russell Wilson. For a couple of years, he was looking at other franchises like, yo, hey, I like what y'all doing over there, right? Hey, y'all got a nice little check. I like you. And then the Seahawks fans are like, oh my God, I'm surprised. No, y'all got dumped 2 years ago. Once the guy said,
hey, Russell Wilson is a good Christian.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not going to allow this smashing.
I'm telling you, once Russell said last year, we all been in a relationship, and I'm sure we all been dumped before. We haven't got dumped the day we got dumped. We got dumped weeks or maybe months before we actually got dumped. You know what I'm saying? And the Seahawks got dumped a year ago. You know what I'm saying? Now it's just official.
Hey, Guru, hey, speaking of that, bro, I actually just came across, a good friend of mine, and he had told me recently, not that I didn't know this, but he had told me, yo, usually when a girl, when she breaks up with you, that's something that she had planned out. That's something she had mapped out months ago, maybe even years in advance. She planned it out. And so, I feel what you're saying with the whole Russ thing. I mean, even going back to that, Russ has been flirting with other teams. I mean, last year, he was flirting with the Cowboys, flirting with the Ravens.
I got 4 of them on my list.
He got 4 of them. He got 4 of them.
Dude, my man he was being a freak, and he was telling y'all like, hey, this is what I like, baby. And look, he didn't even care. He was being a home wrecker. He was going in other people's home. I want to go to Dallas. I'm like, damn, Russ, you home wrecking too? I'm like, bro, slow down. You got a nice home over here. He's naming every place. I'm like, bro, calm down. We know you don't like it here. We know you want to get out of here. And I was telling Steezy this, in a couple of his episodes, and I always listen to his shows. And, he's in Seattle to the T. Seattle blindly. I'm like, Steezy, he already told y'all, man, like, he could read between the line. The press conference, put like this one I knew. He used to always go to the Seattle hospital, right? He was doing it for the kids. Man, Russ ain't been in the hospital in like 2 years, dog. He ain't been in the hospital in 2 years, dog. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, with COVID, bro. COVID's going on. You can't. Bro, Russell Wilson is a good Christian. He wouldn't want to endanger any of these kids.
Hey, man,
we're living in the apocalypse with COVID.
Hey, Christians or no Christians, man, they still like looking. Hey, I seen Christian look at a fat ass
Christians
too, bro.
is the freakiest ones, bro.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Hey, but for real, I'm not surprised about the whole thing. I think it's a good situation. I think the organization-wise, they give Russell a solid. I think it was a mutual situation. If you're gonna have a breakup, I think this is the type of best breakup you could have. Where it's like, you know what, you don't like me, I don't like you no more. It's mutual. Let's go our partying ways. And I think that's exactly what happened. It's a win-win for both parties. Right now, the Seahawks finally could rebuild and get that whole Russell staying out of the organization, because the last couple years, it's Russell this, Russ is good, Russ cook, Russ and trust, Russ we everything just Russ. I'm like, bro, come on, man. Come on, bro. Like, this is a defensive team. This is
it's gonna get real awkward fast immediately next season because
hey, I like it.
Denver coming to Seattle. Denver coming to Seattle.
The West. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, but what's it called? Real quick though, Guru.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna move on to the next question. So if you wanted to address something real fast, go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I was gonna say something about Bobby Wagner real quick. That one, right out of the whole Russ situation, that one really hurt me about B-Wag. But also, I was anticipating. If you honestly, we all love B-Wag, and he's a good guy. But honestly, he lost his step like 2 years ago.
I want to say something. This is showing him love. That's an organization doing him a solid right now, because they're like, listen, you see what's going on, B-Wag. And he's like, yep. He's like, we're going to go ahead and let you go. And somebody's going to swoop you. And he doesn't even have to be an every down player. He can come in on important downs, third down packages. Maybe he's a fresh guy that comes in, fresh veteran in the fourth quarter. And he's only, 31? I think I'm even downplaying him. Maybe he does get in. Maybe he just chases it and goes to the Rams. You know what I mean? Because Von Miller is like, I'm going back with Russ. You know what I mean? He's like, I already told Russ I'm going there first. You know what I mean? So, man, listen, if I'm B-Wag, that's what I'm doing. And they're doing him a solid for that, because from the inside, they know the ship is kind of going down. That's what it tells me, that they know the ship's going down.
Ship is starting to sink. But real quick though, hopping on this question because Dylan has to go within the next 10. Like we were talking about earlier, did the Seahawks get enough in return? And this might sound like a dumb question. And Dylan, I'm gonna start with you. But who won the trade?
Man, I think the Broncos won the trade in the sense of they got what they've been looking for since Peyton Manning retired. I wouldn't say that the Seahawks necessarily lost it, just because, like I said, we did get a very good return when it came to draft capital. It was just more the players that
I think Gerald Everett whoops up Noah Fant in a one-on-one fight.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I'm kind of in agreement with you because of the fact that, is Noah Fant really that much better than Gerald Everett?
I mean, what's his name? Sean Wall? What's his name?
Shane Waldron.
Shane Waldron, like he probably want to run more 12 personnel like he did with Higbee and Everett when they were with the Rams. So that kind of makes sense. I mean, Noah Fant is, before Kyle Pitts and them came around, he was one of the guys that was heralded as one of the more athletic specimens we've seen. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's tough to say.
And it's crazy old Pete, bro. He probably told him right now on a Zoom call, he said, take your shirt off. No offense, take your shirt off right now. He's like, I'll take it off too. And then he's like, boom, make the trade.
Well, and it's tough to fully judge Noah Fant's potential because he's had Drew Lock throwing to him.
How mad is
he
Drew
still
Lock
has
right
Drew Lock.
How mad is Drew Lock? How mad is Noah Fant? No Fant.
Oh, he's so mad. He's so mad.
And not to forget Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But why would we release Bobby if we're getting Deshaun Watson?
That's a great point. See, Dylan, like we were saying earlier, it's like, why couldn't the Broncos include a Pastor 10 or a Bradley Chubb? I understand Russell Wilson wanted certain guys to stick around in Denver if he was going to keep or if he was going to waive his no trade clause. But it's like, he's not going to have control over this player, that player, this player, that player, this player, and that player. If
you never say it's a rebuild, but you always look at what they do and not what they say, right? You know what I'm saying? You'll get more from that. And they're telling me it's a rebuild. Everything they're doing, the process is in motion. You know what I mean?
Actions speak louder than words. Remember at the combine last Wednesday, everybody was asking Pete, and then Pete was saying, "Oh, we have no intentions of trading Russell Wilson." You guys remember when that happened? Remember before James Harden got traded to the Sixers, Steve Nash was telling the media, "No, James Harden, for what we know, he's staying here. We're happy with him. You know, he's just getting healthy."
Coach speak,
later,
man.
he's in Brooklyn. Yeah, it's coach speak, player speak, organizational speak. I get that, and I understand that, but Pete Carroll is the oldest head coach in the league. Dog, you 71 years old. You older than my grandparents. You want to rebuild now?
The dark side of the force clouds the mind.
To me, bro, it's crazy, bro. Alex, but I haven't heard from you in a while. Alex, what do you think about
this? I'm just listening to what you guys are saying, but like with the whole Noah Fant thing, it's like we're gonna pay this man to do exactly what we did with Jimmy Graham too. We're gonna pay this dude to block. That's it. He's gonna be run blocking like.
And Jimmy couldn't block either, so at least Noah Fant's a better blocker than Jimmy. Because Jimmy Graham
he's a blocker, but
he was
still,
a big.
it's like,
Jimmy Graham was a big slot. That's what he was.
I think why a lot of the fans are upset too is because they let us along and we're like, oh, we have a good relationship with Russ's agent. Russ was like happy to be here. Pete was like, oh, we want Russ here, and then boom, all of a sudden traded, like you were saying, just out of nowhere.
Okay, you know what, too? Happy wife, happy life's a real thing. I'll make this quick. Happy wife, happy life's a real thing. And Sierra, I don't think like Seattle was gonna like last too long with her. She was like, "Look, you got to get traded up out of here, bro."
Wait, but Bogart, real fast, Denver or Seattle though? What's the better city?
Seattle's like Frisco with a lot of rain. So Denver's like Cali, but just higher elevation. You know what I mean? Because it's like you have all the same things, all the great ethnicities and food, and then flower shops, and you know what I mean. And Seattle's the same way. It just reminds me of the city. You know what I mean? Without the big ass steep roads. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, Bogart. Just because you're talking, bro. If you were Seattle, are you satisfied with a package? And we're just talking about the players, right? Yeah. Are you satisfied with Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, and Drew Lock, or would you have asked for different pieces? I mean, a Pastor Tan, a Bradley Chubb, am I asking for too much?
I mean, I would have tried to get Surtain for sure, because that's definitely a need. And then maybe we don't hear about Bobby Wagner getting cut. You know what I mean?
Dude, Surtain was never an option.
Do you think they released him to? You think they released B-Wag to let him hit the free market real quick, and then maybe if not, circle back around and re-sign him for a friendly?
I could see that, but then there's a lot of teams like the Chargers that might want to go after him. You know what I mean? And so it's just like I think it's
even the Raiders, bro, because you got
anywhere
anywhere, exactly. Those guys that were in from the Gus Bradley coaching family tree. Mm-hmm. They're all over the place. They he would fit right in.
Yeah, he would sit right there in the Jets. Don't be surprised, because that could be a good situation from over there. A young little team.
I mean, they got CJ Mosley. I mean, still though, it would be nasty. It would still be nasty.
Don't say CJ Mosley. I'm not talking about college. I'm talking about in the league. Like CJ Mosley is
CJ Mosley's the dog.
No, come on, look.
He was one of the best linebackers.
I guarantee you haven't watched CJ Mosley in 2.5, maybe 3 years though. If you mention his
because
name,
you know why? No, but here check this out though.
He's on the Jets.
He tore his ACL in 2019. Then he opted out because of the COVID. Last year, 2020.
I'm talking about watching him. I'm talking about when you watch him play, dude. Like he won't be put like this. When he leave the Jets, CJ Mosley will not be a starter in any other roster in the NFL. Guarantee.
He's a Mike linebacker, bro. He does his thing.
He's not going to be a starter. He just don't. He's a slow guy. He can't fit this type of game. The way the game just transitioned, and he's getting paid too much. He's going to be a casualty.
I think it's because he got the Jets stank on him, so you might be seeing it with blindness.
Hey, when's the last time? Other than you bringing up his name, ain't nobody else even know about CJ Mosley. Ain't no quarterback in the NFL like, oh my God, I got CJ.
Touché.
Ain't no running back is like, oh look, it's CJ Mosley over there. Nobody want about CJ Mosley.
Hey, but I'm dead, man. The disrespect. Hey, but Guru, I can't even lie though. CJ Mosley has taken a significant step back in terms of coverage. He's still good for stopping the run and whatnot, but sideline to sideline, he's not nearly as athletic. He's not as fast, and so I agree with your assessment. But I definitely still think he could maybe start for a team or two. But real quick before we head over to Dylan, Guru, you were talking about how Pastor Tan was off the table. Are you saying that because he's so good that Denver made him an untouchable, or are you saying that because you think Seattle is set at cornerback?
Nah, nah. You know how I feel about Seattle. Oh my God. See, you guys focus on the Seattle offensive line that's trash. My goodness, that's got corner trash. Oh my God. I mean, I don't even want to get on that because you know how I feel about the corners. But there was no way because of the package, as far as them getting the 2 first round, and if they wanted to get 2 second round and 2 first round, that wasn't going to happen because if they were trying to get certain, it was only going to be for 1 first round. So they were more looking for draft picks. They were more looking for draft capital. That's why they got bullshit players. Like those guys are not real players. They won't be on the Seahawks team in 1 season. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So those guys are just part of the package deal. It's just a baggage. But really, what they wanted was the draft capital.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking like Drew Lock was kind of like just like, here, you guys take him, do whatever you want with him. We're done with him. And then Fant was, coming up on a big deal. And so, I just think, I think we're going to use the draft capital for a quarterback. That's my theory is, quarterback with those. Maybe sign like a Gardner Minshew. Maybe sign a Gardner Minshew for like a year, some mid-level, Trubisky. And then move on, maybe draft another quarterback a year or 2 from now. And then, just Drew Lock, he's either riding the bench or he's out.
See, I'll keep Drew Lock this year, and I'm loading up on my defense. Like we all we're failing to realize. Like, we all know Pete Carroll's DNA. Like, you guys, I guess you guys in Seattle, bro. Like, if you like a girl with nice titties, I don't give a damn what you have a fat ass. I'm going to pay attention to titties. All right? My man focuses on defense. I don't think you guys are understanding. He went to get Jamal Adams and give him first round because he cares about defense. So what we going to do, we going to get one of those dogs from Georgia. Hey, one of them dogs from Georgia. We're going to fill up the D-line because that's been lacking. And if you all seen Pete Carroll in the last 2 years, we haven't gotten no pressure. He's pissed off about that. Every game, as a defensive guy, he's so angry. Like, we can't get no pressure. I got to get a safety leading me in sacks. I got to do all this nonsense. Since Michael Bennett left, Cliff Abel left, the D-line has been trash. So I expect a bunch of those Georgia guys, at least 2 of those guys, to be in the D-line this year.
Ken Norton Jr. also had Ben Samayoa dropping into coverage. So, I mean, that's
Ben Samayoa should not be starting for any team in the NFL, dude. Yeah. He was not even starting in the NFL before, and he should not be a starter in the NFL right now. He's a legitimate special team guy. He should be like KPL Lewis. You remember KPL? Yeah. That's who Ben Samayoa should be. A backup comes in when somebody get hurt for a week or 2, but he should not be on the field for you consistently.
Okay, hey, what's it called? Dylan does have to go in the second, so real fast before he does go, I want to ask him one question, and the rest of you guys can kind of follow through afterward. Who's to blame for the relationship going downhill? Does Pete Carroll deserve more of the blame pie, or is it Russ Wilson, or do they both get an equal share? Dylan, what say you?
I think it's fairly equal. I think it's two alphas clashing. It's not to this caliber. I'm not comparing the two situations, but it's kind of like the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick situation. You have 2 people at a very high level in their respective positions that want full reign, full power over everything, every say in the organization. And Pete wasn't willing to give that up. Russ wasn't willing to give that up, but at the same time, it's definitely both of their faults. I think that it came to this, but I think they made the wrong decision in who they got rid of.
Tried to stay together for the kids, bro.
Yeah.
They tried to stay. They should have just split. They should have split a long time ago.
Actually, Dylan, I'm sorry. Before we wave goodbye, I do just want to get your take on one more question. What's Seattle's next move at quarterback?
Like I said earlier, I hope we don't draft a quarterback this year. If we're going full rebuild mode, There's no reason to draft a quarterback right now, especially in the draft class that's coming up. I see a couple people in the comments saying Matt Corral. No, just if you're, especially with the 9th pick, if you can get him in like the 3rd round, okay, maybe. But if the Seahawks pick Matt Corral with the number 9 pick, I will have a lot of questions of the direction that this organization is going. But
I
even
can really
with
see them trading out of that pick too for someone
100%.
that wants. You know what I mean? Because that's their steez.
I can definitely see that, especially if there is a team down lower that has 2 first-round picks or a late first and an early second. I could definitely see that. But I just hope for right now, I say we don't focus on a quarterback. I say we, like Guru said, focus on the defense, focus on the offensive line, and we'll worry about a quarterback a few years from now. But if we're going full rebuild, don't do a quarterback right now.
Man, that's tough to hear, bro. So are you content with Drew Lock or Jacob Eason being the week 1 starter?
Am I content with it? No. I would much rather Russell Wilson be the week 1 starter, but I don't think that's an option at this point. But it's what we have.
You gotta let it go, man.
Yeah, and I just don't see a reason to either draft or, like I said earlier, like I heard rumors of a Jimmy G or like a Carson Wentz. I don't see a point in getting one of those guys that are going to keep you afloat when there's no reason to keep afloat. You might as well just do a full rebuild.
That's why you traded for Drew Lock. You're like, he's getting us a top 5 pick.
Exactly. 100%. That was the sole reason you would trade
Crazy
for
old Pete is at it again.
Yeah,
hey, man, like
he's not getting us a top 5. He's getting the Jets a top 5.
We all know what it is. It's called the process in football. It's the process. Like, we should appreciate.
Oh, wait a second. Is that next year's first goes to the Jets for the Seahawks?
We should
no. This year it ends.
We should appreciate what Schneider and Pete are really doing right now as far as the organization. Obviously, it seemed like, oh my God, you traded franchise quarterback. But bro, we all know it was coming. Like, no Seattle fan who's really watched football we know this was coming. It was going to be this year or next year. So if I was I just get banded out. It was going to be. And the thing is, because Russ value was going to go down. You know what I mean? Because we all knew he didn't want to come back. So obviously, if I was a team, I'll just wait for him to be a free agent rather than give you so many picks in a sense. So I think the organization is like this. We're starting fresh. And as the city, we're letting you all know. This is their way of saying, hey, y'all, we might only win 5 games, but look, we let you all know early in the process. So bear with us. Who cares about this first year? This is part of getting better. You might have to take a step back to go 3 steps forward. Because you all remember when the Seahawks made the first player with Pete Carroll, they were 7-9, bro. You know what I'm saying? Y'all had a losing record. I wasn't even in Seattle at that time. I'm like, who the hell is this sorry ass damn team going to the playoff at 7-9? You know what I mean? So
hey man, the Beastquake, man. That was the Beastquake year.
Well, that's what he did. See what Pete did? They developed. They got Marshall as far as free agency, as far as trade.
No, they traded for him.
They traded
from the
for
Bills.
Yeah. So that's why I respect Schneider and organization.
The Bills, they had C.J. Spiller and Freddie Jackson over there.
I think the Seattle fan base should relax like the Guru. I'm chilling before I get out of here, man. I'm unbuttoning my shirt. I'm like, I believe in Pete and I believe in Schneider. Baby, let's go, baby. Let's go.
Hey, bro, before we move on, though, my guy Dylan does have to go. So if you're an MMA fan, if you're a UFC fan, if you're just a fan of Dylan, if you're a fan of me, if you're a fan of the Bolts, heck, if you're a fan of anything and anything, anybody sports, please subscribe to Monday Night Fight Talk on YouTube. Follow my guy's new socials at Monday Night Fight Talk on Instagram, on Twitter. He's new to the YouTube world. He's just now getting started. He's getting into the thick of things. And so if you guys could please show my man some love. Dylan Brewski, yet again, thank you so much for joining me, my brother. Any last words, any last comments for you?
Hey, man, I just want to thank you for having me on. Thank you for being you. And it was nice to meet all the rest of you guys. Can't wait to do this again. Thanks, guys.
Hey, heck yeah, bro. We'll do this again, bro.
Yep.
Okay. And then real quick, before we
send my party ways for me too. I about to bounce too, man. Can I?
You about to go right now?
Yeah.
Oh, but okay, I didn't even know you was leaving right now. He had texted me that he was about to leave, so that's why I want to.
See, now I was doing it live. Forget all that text and let me see how
you doing it live.
Now all that text. Now we doing this live, man. So y'all know, ain't no editing. I ain't texting. No, nah.
Okay, all right, good. So if you gotta go, then, bro, real quick before you go, answer one question for me.
Yes, sir.
Give me your early predictions for Seattle's record next season.
Honestly, I want them to go 5. Don't win more than 5 games because standing out 5 games will put you in the top 3 draft picks because it's all about a rebuilding process. Sacrifice year 1 to get better year 2. So I expect this to go 5 and 12, 5 and 11. What the hell is what is 17 games
5 and 12.
now?
5 and 12.
Yeah, 5 and 12, finishing dead ass last in the division, man.
Okay, I mean, hey, Guru, my bad, bro. I didn't know you had to go so early, but hey, my brother, thank you so much for hopping on. You know, it's always love. You know, it's always fun when we do this, bro. I feel like, man, you be entertaining the crowd, bro. You be funny as hell. So, you know, thank you so much, bro. If you got anything else you want to say, real quick though, before he does go, at World of Sports Network, at Guru's Film Room on Instagram, Twitter. Show my man some love, man. He's the ultimate film guru. He knows what he's talking about. He's super, super smart. He was on this whole Russ leaving train years ago, and so. For more insight,
I was on the train. Get his ass out of here, man. I wasn't even leaving. I'm like, get his ass out of here, dog. Like, he want to go. She don't want you. She looking at other dudes. Get your ass out of here, man. I look good, man. I can get in the gym. I get in the gym and get me another one at the club, man. It's all good. Maybe I got to pay for one like Drew Luck. Maybe I got to go on the streets and get a little hooky real quick like Drew Luck. But at least get the job done. You know what I'm saying? Before I go get me a wife, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to go on the streets, dog. You got to do what you got to do, dog.
Oh, man. Hey, Guru, thank you so much, bro. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day, for real. And then real quick, though, before we continue, I got another guest that I do want to introduce to you guys. He was on the last Seahawks live stream when we was talking about Bobby Wagner. And ironically, the next time he hops on, Bobby Wagner is no longer on the team. He currently is working. He's classmates with my good friend, my good brother, Asquabo says, at Wazoo. And he used to be somebody I used to work with at Highline. Please welcome Mr. Emmett Savoras.
Hey, what's up, Steezy? Glad to be back on. Nice to meet the two of you as well. Yeah, let's get to talking about some Bobby, some Russ.
Yes, sir. Before we continue, though, just to let you guys know, Bogart and Alex, he's a Packers fan, so just keep that in mind.
It's okay.
It's okay.
With
you guys all the
200
time.
mil in 4 years, man. That's all I gotta say. 50 million years, steep.
Actually,
I mean, you know what though? It's kind of ghost though, man. It's kind of ghost money for this year specifically, so they could retain. You know, like it's you guys are gonna remember he had one more year on his joint, and so the extension was really just like, you know, pushing money back.
Right.
So he's not getting 50 million, quote unquote, this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, Emmett, just because you're on, I want to ask you before we get into, you know, Seahawks stuff. Aaron Rodgers, 4 years, $200 million. Instant reaction to Aaron Rodgers sticking around? Are you surprised?
I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, we talked about it a while ago that I thought he was going to stay in place when I was, you know, we were on the Bolt when Dylan was out a couple weeks ago. I'm not shocked that he's going to stay in Green Bay. I am shocked at the reported the 4-year deal. I thought it was going to be something more like a 2 or 3, and he'd only probably play through maybe 2 of those, and then he'd wind up being, you know, retiring. But it keeps the Packers in contention. It makes them a top contender, and especially with this Russell Wilson trade, you're looking at the Packers are most likely going to be one of the teams to beat in the NFC along with the Rams.
Hey, you know, I hope so.
And the Niners. Don't hold on.
I meant what I said.
And the Niners. We beat y'all. You
did.
Anyways, hold on real quick. I do want to say though, with the Aaron Rodgers thing, is he did come out and say that, you know, there's you know, a lot of inaccuracies with a lot of people's you know, reportings on the new contract because still more details are going to come out, and it's definitely going to have some voidable years, which would probably be the last 2 years on a 4-year contract. You know what I mean?
Right. Bogart, while you're speaking, bro, so earlier we were talking about how Pete Carroll.
I do it too much. Oh, crazy old Pete.
You give out a lot of game, bro. But we was talking about Pete earlier, and I brought up the fact that he's the oldest head coach in the league. And so, like you also mentioned, all signs kind of point.
He's crazy.
and maybe senile.
Senile.
All signs point to Seattle leaning towards a rebuild. So with the oldest head coach at the helm, what direction is Seattle leaning in? Like, are they going into a rebuild? Are all these moves just moves that they're making in advance for an even bigger move? Like you talked about Deshaun Watson. What's Seattle's end game here?
Well, I was saying that before, the Bobby Wagner thing really sunk in. It's like, Watson having a no trade clause. He's probably like, I'm not going over there. You know what I mean? Like, so it is in rebuild mode. And I'm thinking crazy old Peak he's going to run it back and try to get himself a young QB here. They got the picks now. And I think they're going to try to rebuild. And maybe Pete Carroll has 4, maybe let's say three more years, I think, crazy OP. I mean, listen, man, I don't know what's in that gum, bro, but he comes running down that sideline chewing that gum, bro. It's kind of, he don't look like a 7-year-old man, or he don't move like a 7-year-old man, I should say, because yeah, there's that. But it's they're hitting the switch, and I guess the owners really trust them. Maybe the owners they're all together senior citizens, just old and senile, because Russ, man, I think I would have chose Russ over them for sure. You know what I mean?
No doubt, bro. I mean, I feel like the fact that Coach P had such a he had a cleansing, of the defensive coaching staff. And he was on record talking about how, he's been arrogant as a coach. They haven't been able to make adjustments. He's relied on, on talent and personnel. And now that the team no longer has all these superstars, no longer has the Legion of Boom, signs kind of point to Pete maybe evolving. And so I know that logic doesn't exactly go hand in hand with this, but because he's looking to evolve defensively, maybe he's also looking to extend his career, just because he is, like I said, the oldest head coach in the league. And maybe he's looking to evolve offensively as well. Maybe he's not going to be so run-centric like we all think he's going to be. But with the rookie, or I don't know, maybe it's a rookie quarterback, maybe it's a free agent quarterback. I don't know. Alex, what about you, bro? I mean, should the Seahawks, is this the right move to rebuild with the oldest head coach in the league, or does he have something up his sleeve?
I think Pete Carroll's going to try and coach till he's wheelchair bound and stuck in a retirement home. I 100% believe that. I think he's going to keep going as long as he can. And I don't know, with his philosophies, he hasn't obviously changed his philosophies. Like, he's still, we need to run the ball. But it's like, okay, man, you don't have Marshawn anymore. And then they're like, oh, let Russ cook. And then he shut that down as soon as that started flopping just a little bit.
Right.
But I don't know. I'd say he probably goes till he's 80.
Till 80?
I think he's going to do it, dude. You see how fired up he gets, and he just starts, like you were saying, Bogart, he just starts running. Yeah. And it's like, I think he's going to go till he's 80.
Hey, I just hope by then he's he doesn't show his age, because I know,
or at least until like Jody Allen is like, okay, you need to go sit in the stands now.
Well, I'm hearing rumors that Jody Allen might be looking to sell the team.
Oh,
like maybe that's why she's tearing everything down.
Yeah,
just so that whoever does come in and if they're interested in buying the Seahawks, they have a clean slate.
Right.
Evan, what do you think about that?
I mean, I think when it comes to that, I think that that's a little bit of a weird sort of thing to do, because especially if you put the team on sale last year, you go into it, you'll be able to get a lot more, I think, money for it, because again, the team would have a Russell Wilson, a Bobby Wagner, Pete Carroll at head coach. Now, if you're kind of stripping, you're kind of stripping the cupboards bare here. I don't know exactly. Again, it could just be a move where she just kind of wants to be a little bit, nice and upfront about it, where she's just like, hey, the cupboards are bare. You can kind of come in and do whatever you want, hire your own people. But I think with the Pete Carroll thing, which you guys were just talking about, I think that they went into this year probably thinking, or this new year, thinking that they were going to be able to go in and compete. And then I'm assuming things just got way too rough with Russell Wilson, and they realized they weren't going to be able to retain him. So I think personally that they're going to have Pete Carroll stick around as kind of a stopgap head coach, so that they can wait. And I think potentially, I know somebody was talking about it earlier, possibly bringing in a guy like a Deshaun Watson. I think that if they wind up doing that, Pete Carroll might wind up getting fired at the end of this year, and then they can bring in a guy who Deshaun Watson likes, like an Eric Bieniemy from Kansas City. I talked about that a little bit earlier with one of my buddies, but I think it's a weird decision by Jody Allen if the intention is to sell the team, to kind of gut the roster right before you do it.
See, because the way that I look at it, I think the incentive or the appeal in selling Seattle or the Seahawks without a Russell Wilson is that you don't want that owner to have to deal with all the drama, just because Russell Wilson, yes, he is Russell Wilson. Yes, this is a quarterback-driven league, but at the end of the day, no quarterback is bigger than the Seattle Seahawks. This is one of the better run franchises in the last, decade or so. And so with Russell Wilson kind of coming out last offseason and kind of throwing the team under the bus, that didn't fit the Seahawks MO. And so the way I look at it, Jody Allen is kind of looking at it, I'm going to sell this team, but I'm going to look to sell it to an owner that doesn't have to deal, with all this drama, that doesn't have to deal with any sort of lingering. You know what I mean, Bogart?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But with Russell Wilson heading over to the gauntlet that is the AFC West, Bogart, I know we talked about this earlier, but I didn't get your opinion on it. Are the Denver Broncos Super Bowl contenders in the AFC?
Yeah, I'd say. For what it's worth, I don't think, like last year is a great example of saying that division is one of the best. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that because you had the stretch where the Chiefs were flat. They had to get it right. Then they got it right. And you had the Chargers. They started off semi-hot, and then they were getting beat by the bad teams like the Texans or not beating the Raiders, to get into the playoffs. And then even the Raiders, I think their most impressive win on the year was probably going in and beating the Cowboys, and they were in that slump at the time. You know what I mean? It was just bad teams beating up on bad teams, and then you had the Chiefs got it together at the right time, and they ran away with the division. I think Russell Wilson having a no-trade clause didn't look at that division and was like, all right, it's going to be hard to compete there. Because when you really look at it, you know what I mean? You have Staley in his second year. Maybe he gets it together with the Chargers. You got Josh McDaniels. He's going back to the AFC West, second shot being the head coach this time with Las Vegas Raiders. You know what I mean? And then you got the Chiefs who have Andy Reid, and it's just a well-oiled machine. You know what I mean? And then now you have the Broncos who have a rookie head coach, Nathaniel Hackett. I think everybody is live in that division. So to answer your question, yeah, I think they're a Super Bowl contender. But especially because they have Russ. Everyone's live in there, but I'm not saying the Chargers and the Raiders are Super Bowl contenders, but they're live for sure because we have 7 seeds. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I feel like in the AFC, right, everybody's been talking about Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Obviously, we know the AFC is super stacked with quarterback talent. Where does Russell Wilson stack amongst the rest of those guys or all those guys that I just mentioned? Is he top 5? Is he top 3? And in his own division, is he number 2 after Patrick Mahomes, or is he after Justin Herbert? Is he better than Justin Herbert?
I think he's number 6.
In the AFC.
Yeah, I think we go Allen and Mahomes, and you could, you in no particular order, right? So we go Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, no particular order, like I said. And then, you could argue Wilson even there at the 5 spot. And then, Watson as it stands right now is still in the AFC. So that's where that's who I have slotted in there at 5th. You know what I mean? And then Wilson. Just off the top of my head, that's where I put Wilson.
Alex, is my guy Bogart tripping? Where would you put Russ?
No, I'd say that's probably about right for me. For the last 2-3 years, I felt like Russ is starting to hit, the decline. He's on the back end of his prime. He's still got it, and there's a couple times last year where he just flipped that switch, and he looked like Russ, after 3 years in the league and the Super Bowl years. But then most of the time, even his his run game isn't as good anymore. It looks like he's slowed down. And, all those quarterbacks are crazy mobile, making the same throws he used to make and all that. So I think, they're younger, fresh legs, fresh arms, fresh perspectives on the game too. And so I think Bogart's pretty accurate with that.
Hey, I got to push back just a little bit because I know you talked about how Russ has kind of struggled in the last 2 years. Well, the year before this year, he threw for a career high of 40 touchdown passes. And I know it was the first half of the year, but when Seattle was letting Russ cook, Seattle was undefeated. I think they were 5-0 after 5 weeks. He was a leading candidate in the MVP race. All of a sudden, Pete Carroll takes the keys away from the Ferrari, and he kind of gives him his training wheels again. And so do we know definitively and for a fact that Russ Wilson is on the decline, or does that have something to do with both injury and the fact that Pete Carroll was kind of relinquishing control?
Yeah, I know, like last year for sure the injury, and like when he came back against the Packers in the next like 2-3 games, there's something screwed up there for sure. But then yeah, I totally get what you're saying too, and that's one thing I'm excited to see next season is like, all right, does he just ball out and just go crazy like when they're letting him cook, or is it going to be, and then it would show that like Pete is like, okay, Pete was just meddling with the offense too much, wasn't letting him do his thing, and they're playing Pete ball and not Russ ball.
Pete ball, not Russ ball.
Hey, listen, Nathaniel Hackett, this guy, bravo to him, because it's his first head coaching gig, and he made a strong play for Rodgers, simultaneously having the deal with Russ and them, quote, pun intended, cooking in the background. And when one fell through, he had the other one in place. That's a hell of a way to hit the ground running. You know what I mean? And I will say, Russ, as long as that finger, bruh, because I mean, putting that if that finger affects any of his touch on his pass at all, you know what I mean? That deep ball that that drop in the bucket, good. If that goes away, then I will agree with you that he's lost, that he's took a step back, because that's something that he uncorks from all over the field. And then now, like, maybe the altitude in Denver will actually help him if he did take a step back and he lost a little power or touch, whatever it is, because I like what they're about to do with him in that system. And we all saw that system. It made Aaron Rodgers play the best in his career for the last 3 years. You know what I mean? And 2 out of those 3 years in that same system, Aaron Rodgers has been the MVP. Now he has Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? They're going to lean on the run. The run's going to open up everything. And it's Russell Wilson, so they're going to be able to get in some shootouts here, because they're going to be in quite a few, against Herbert twice, against Mahomes twice. And then, and Mr. Mascara himself.
Hey, Bogart, I remember you and I, because we're in a couple of dynasty leagues together. Mm-hmm. We was talking about Melvin Gordon and, what his potential return could mean for Javonte Williams. Because, I took Javonte. And so I was kind of excited. I kind of looked at Russell Wilson being traded to Denver as a silver lining for my fantasy squad. Because I was like, Javonte Williams, he going to look good. But at the same time, if Russell Wilson is joining the Denver Broncos via trade, wouldn't Melvin Gordon just look at that and be like, yo, Green Bay was winning off the strength of Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. And now Denver could create their own, duo at running back with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon.
And that's what Nathaniel Hackett did too. He ran a timeshare backfield, and it was situational. And even last year, we're going to throw everything last year out the window with the Broncos, but it was basically Melvin Gordon as the 1A, and then Javonte as the 1B. And I think those roles will flip in this offense. You know what I mean? I think Javonte will. Yeah, I mean, it's just, plus, like, Melvin Gordon is 28 years old, and they're gonna let him go, and he'll come back for noodles. Like, I'm sure of it, because he's gonna look around, and maybe, unless Arizona's like, come over here and we'll actually give you like a decent bag. But like I said, he's 28 years old with hella mileage, so I think he stays with the Broncos, and the Russell Wilson thing helps it a lot, man. You know what I mean? Like, what he might get, like a $4 to $6 million 1 year extension on his existing joint, and maybe has a ton of incentives. You know what I mean? But
no doubt. Yeah. I thought last year he showed a little bit of that burst that I feel like we all thought he lost, prior to coming to Denver. But before we move on to the next subject, I do have one more guest that I'd like to bring on. One of the smartest, one of the youngest, one of the brightest minds that I know, not just when it comes to the Seahawks, but when it comes to football, when it comes to all sports. He's yet to appear on a CZA live stream, and so please welcome with open arms Mr. Nick LeBeau.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
How you doing, Nick?
Thank you
What
so
up?
much for having me.
Hell of a name,
Oh.
Nick LeBeau.
Thank
Good name.
you.
Bro, Nick,
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time that I talked to you. Like, I don't know if it was in person or on the phone, but I feel like your voice is getting a little deeper.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah?
It is definitely.
Bro, so I gotta ask, what were you doing this morning when Russell Wilson was traded to the Denver Broncos? Because I opened the show by talking about how I woke up to the terrible
Yeah,
news
yeah.
that Russell Wilson was being traded. So were you in school? What were you doing?
I was in school, so it was a little difficult because can't really be on your phone. But luckily, it was passing period. I just happened to look down at my phone, and it was blowing up with texts and Twitter and all that stuff. And all of a sudden, at first, I was kind of like you. I thought it was fake. I didn't really think it was real. And then I started seeing Rappaport, Schefter, those guys. I mean, saying that Russ got traded, and it was just wow, crazy.
How old are you, bro?
14.
So all you know is Russ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's kind of crazy.
it is.
Well,
I've never. Yeah, Geno Smith's the only other quarterback I've ever watched starting in the Seahawks
That
uniform.
is true because he ain't never missed a game
That's
until this year. Yeah.
Yeah, until this year.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying to Steez this morning is I'm 20, I'm going to be 23 this month. So I remember a little bit of, the Hasselbeck
Right.
years. And I vaguely remember, the Steelers Super Bowl, not too much. I think I was only about 6 or 7. So in my formative years watching sports where I really cared and got really interested in it,
was Russ.
it's all I know is Russ. Yeah.
Right.
right.
You guys are 12s through and through.
Yeah.
Going through.
Oh yeah.
And Nick, I gotta ask. So Bogart, I thought he made a
Steve!
great point. Bogart was talking about how
Oh, y'all didn't
all
even
you
do
know.
it.
Oh wait, what? What happened?
See.
Oh,
Bucks.
Man, you got Niners hat yelling that. You're crazy.
but Nick, so
Listen,
Bogart made a
just-
great point. He was talking about how the only quarterback you've really ever known is Russ.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw a little bit of the Geno Smith experience, but for the most part, Russell Wilson's the only quarterback you've seen quarterback our Seattle Seahawks for the past decade or so. What's next for Seattle at quarterback? Dylan was
Man.
talking about how he hopes Seattle does not draft one. Obviously,
I'm
the
with
free agent
him.
market, you're with him.
Yeah, I think for this year, I think we can kind of accept that we're not really going to be good, especially with Bobby Wagner gone, which is kind of a whole different deal. But maybe get another guy, re-sign Geno, maybe get a Teddy Bridgewater,
Hey, Jordan
a guy
Brooks is
that
a bad boy.
isn't really
doubt.
going to be good, but you can have as a bridge, get a little competition, wait a year, have an early pick. There's guys like Bryce Young. There's some good guys in not this year, but next year's QB draft class. So I think we wait this year. That's my opinion.
So okay, so I know that there isn't a whole bunch of star power, as it pertains to the quarterback position in this upcoming draft. But are you telling me that you have no confidence whatsoever in a Malik Willis and a Kenny Pickett and a Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, any of those guys?
I mean, I wouldn't say I have zero confidence, but it's not really there. Is where if we maybe wait a year, kind of see what we have, and who knows, maybe Drew Lock just was in the wrong system, and maybe he turns out to be this good QB. I'm not really banking on that, but I wouldn't necessarily be not confident in them, but I think it'd be better for us in the long term if we really loaded up on positional value. There's very deep on the pass rush, which is a huge need of ours. There's some great corners. Our in offensive linemen, and yeah.
Okay, and Bogart brought this up earlier, and I do want to get everyone else's opinions. But Nick, while you're on, how realistic do you think is it if Deshaun Watson, could potentially be the starting quarterback in Seattle? I know there's all those legal issues and whatnot,
Right.
but let's say they come to a settlement or settlements. Is that at all feasible in your eyes?
I mean, I could see it. We have the draft assets now. We have the 9th overall pick. We have a couple first round picks next year. Drew Lock on our roster. We got some positional value, maybe a veteran guy, a Gabe Jackson, maybe one of our receivers, although hopefully we don't move on from them. So I could see it happening if he kind of passes through his legal avenues. And also I think the Texans would be more likely to trade him to a team like us where it's not really in their conference. And yeah. I think the likelihood's low, but there's still a chance.
Okay, I just want to take some time to answer Amanda's question real quick. What quarterback do you think is the best in the AFC West? I don't think that's hard. Patrick Mahomes, right, y'all?
Yeah.
Everybody?
Yeah.
Also, do you think the Seahawks offense will be the same? Heck no.
No.
Obviously, we're going to see a lot more ground and pound.
Yeah.
Emmett, if I could get you to kind of chime in here, do you see Seattle going back to more of a ground and pound type of offense? Do you see Pete Carroll evolving the offense a little bit without Russell Wilson? Where do the Seahawks go offensively?
I mean, I think Pete Carroll didn't evolve the offense with Russell Wilson, so why would he do it for Drew Lock? And I think I think you're gonna be seeing a lot more running the ball. That's kind of what Pete Carroll does. That's what every Pete Carroll team has always done. I don't think you're gonna be seeing him change now at what is he, 70-something years old now?
71.
71 years old. I don't think you're going to be seeing them change. You're going to be seeing a lot of running the ball. You're not going to want to put the ball in Drew Lock's hands or Jacob Eason's hands or hell, Teddy Bridgewater's hands, 40, 50 times a game. I think you got to run the ball. And I think Seattle honestly might be pretty content with just being a bad football team this year. And I think running the ball will kind of help them do that. And maybe it sets you up for drafting Bryce Love in 2023.
Hey, did Pete Carroll did he speak on, did he do a presser yet since this trade?
Nah.
Hey, you know what he's going to say, right? Pete Carroll always lies, bro. He's like, we really like Drew Lock, and he's like,
well, he's never direct. He's never direct.
We wanted him in that package.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. He dances around. I mean, he's 71. He's been doing it for many moons. Like he has coach speak down to a T.
Right.
You know
Hey, y'all, look, I just want to say, I feel like with Russ Wilson leaving, I'm not super mad, right? But what I don't understand, or I feel very strongly about this, I feel like Russ Wilson still owes us a Super Bowl. I mean, yes, he did bring home a Super Bowl championship, but his last Super Bowl appearance, an interception at the 1 yard line, like that's what he's gonna mostly be remembered for, because he didn't win any other Super Bowls when he was the guy in Seattle. And so when you kind of look,
I got strong thoughts on this. I want to say something, because
go ahead, my brother.
That was the moment that he became old and senile Pete Carroll, because he should have ran the ball, and instead he wanted to make Russ the hero and not award Beast Mode the MVP, because if Beast Mode punches that in, when he punches that in, he's the MVP. And Russ's second Super Bowl in a row where he's not the MVP. That's what they were going for. And they went up against Bill Belichick, who checks every nook and cranny. And it just so happened the rookie, Malcolm Butler, had been watching that running that play, you know what I'm saying, all week in practice. Said, if you see this look, they're gonna throw it to the tight end. That when he saw the look, he broke on the play. Like, it was just good coaching versus a bad call. And I get the call. I really get the call, because Beast Mode was the, I'm just here so I don't get fined. You know what I mean? He was doing his town business thing. Yeah. They didn't want they didn't want him to be the guy, like the politics of it all. And that's where I say I think Pete Carroll owed y'all one. Because I think Russell Wilson's career in Seattle is more similar to something like a Drew Brees, a career with the Saints, where he was screwed over at times. You know what I mean? I think as much as Drew Brees was screwed over, you could put that play in the Super Bowl as they screwed over Russell Wilson getting a second one. And all those players, because Pete Carroll wanted to give the glory to Russ. So he called that play. You know what I mean?
Understood. I see a lot of fans are kind of tripping about what's going on or about what we talking about.
They're like, who is this Niner fan talking about our team?
Hold on. Hey, don't mind them. I apologize. Some of the 12 can't be.
See.
Oh. But Emmett,
y'all be in our stadium doing that thing. Y'all be hella deep in our stadium too, doing that shit.
What's it called? I know we're kind of jumping back and forth from topics here. But Emmett, I haven't heard from you yet in regards to the Denver Broncos and where you think they stand in the AFC. But before you go, I know you guys just dropped your first episode on the C Team podcast the other day on YouTube. So for those of you guys that are tuned in, please give my mans a listen, give him a follow, him and his boy. They're both co-hosts of the C Team podcast, talking all things football, Packers and Seahawks. Emmett, floor is yours.
Thank you for that shout out, Steezy. We just dropped our second episode, I think probably about an hour ago, just talking about the Rodgers and Russell Wilson stuff. I think when you look at the Broncos, I think it's a really tough thing to figure out in terms of where they really stand, because I don't know if we really know where they stand on the offensive side of the ball. We know that they're going to probably be running some sort of thing that Green Bay was running last year. But we don't really know how Russ is going to fit into that system. I think you saw when Russell Wilson's been throwing the ball more, he's been throwing more interceptions. He's not as efficient when he's in like a more run-based system. In Green Bay and Nathaniel Hackett, they did run a sort of run-based system, but I think he kind of rode the coattail a little bit of an Aaron Rodgers, because Nathaniel Hackett wasn't getting nearly.
He's about to do the same thing now. He's about to do the same thing with Russ.
I think that there's a potential that he would, because I mean, if Nathaniel Hackett wasn't getting this much hype when he was, calling the plays down in Jacksonville, but I think Denver. You look
they had
at
the top 10 offense that one year. That was the Saxonville year.
I don't even think they had a top 10 offense, did they?
It was Greg Roman that year. I'm sorry, Greg Roman, not the tight end, but Greg Roman. Oh,
because I think Hackett.
Greg Olsen. I'm sorry. It was Greg Olsen. The OC was the guy. I was mistaken him. My bad. Not Greg Olsen, the tight end, but Greg Olsen. He was the bum ass coordinator for the Raiders the past couple of years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was actually there in Saxonville. I was Yeah, you're right. He was terrible.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you look at that, and we don't really know where the Broncos stand. I think we know that the Chiefs are easily the best team in that division. And I think you have a bunch of wild cards, especially with the Chargers and now with the Raiders. I think you're looking at where they're not a guaranteed second best team. And I honestly think that Russell Wilson is the third best quarterback in that division, especially when it comes to talent wise, because I think we can all agree that Mahomes is better. We all just agreed that he was the best in the division. I think Herbert has a lot more potential than Russell Wilson does. So that puts Russell Wilson at 3, because I'm not a huge fan of Derek Carr. So I think that you're looking at them as potentially squeaking in as a wild card team. But I think, they're going to be matched up with the Chiefs in whatever the first or second round that they're playing in, or maybe the Bills. So I don't know if I would necessarily call them a Super Bowl contender. Okay,
for sure. Before I get to Nick, my guy Alex here has to go. Alex Stewart, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Do you have any last words for the audience?
I can't think of any last words for the audience. I'm excited for next year. I'm nervous for next year. We still got months and months to go before the next season starts, so we'll see where we land before the next season starts and then go from there.
Okay, too many questions. 1, where's Bobby Wagner going? And 2, give me a prediction on what you think Seattle's record is going to be next season.
Bobby Wagner is following KJ Wright to the Raiders. And I'm going to say we're going to go 4-13. If Drew Lock's at the helm the way it stands now, 4-13.
Oh boy. And like my man Guru says, sometimes you gotta take a step backward to move forward. So let's hope that there is a plan in place. And Pete and John, they're vets in the game, they know what they're doing. So I guess we don't really have much of a choice but to put our trust in them. So
hopefully we learn how to dink and dunk the ball rather than big deep shots.
Yeah, I mean, if there was one kind of knock on Russ's game, it's that he didn't really target, the intermediate / the middle of the field, and so wherever we bring in that quarterback, I'm hoping that, they could be a little bit more diverse in how they manage things, especially offensively. But again, Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I hope you have a great day, my man. And as always, even though today might be the saddest day in Seattle sports history, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
All right, y'all. Good fella right there. While we're talking about Bobby Wagner, though, Nick, where's Bobby Wagner going? Is he going to follow Russell Wilson to Denver? Is he going to follow KJ Wright to Oakland? Or, excuse me, not Oakland, Las Vegas? Or is he going to reunite with Dan Quinn in Dallas? What say you?
I think all three are definitely possibilities. Although I think it's a lot less likely that he goes to Russ. I think he's very enticed about going with KJ. So I'm gonna say Vegas. They kind of need a true middle linebacker down there.
Okay, Emmett.
I think potentially it wasn't even a team that you named, but I think there's a potential that he could wind up, signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. They did just wind up releasing Anthony Hitchens. I mean, it wouldn't be out of the world for them to do it. They went out and they've signed a veteran like a Tyrann Mathieu. They traded for
Frank Clark a couple years ago.
Exactly. And then, so I think it wouldn't necessarily be out of the realm for the Chiefs to go out and do that. I think the Dallas one is a little bit interesting because I do think he would like to reunite with Dan Quinn, but I don't know if Dallas has the cap space, especially like you see the cuts they're making with Amari Cooper and potentially DeMarcus Lawrence. So I don't know if they're even going to have the cap space to be able to do that. But I think Oakland is, or Las Vegas is another good spot for Bobby Wagner to land.
Okay. What about you, Bogart?
It's depending on what happens with Campbell, man, in Green Bay. I think he could go there. Like, whenever you can't go somewhere and really get a bag, then you start thinking like, okay, where can I compete for a ring? And I'll go take like a veteran minimum and use my name as a draw. You know what I mean? And I think the Packers could be in line, and maybe even the Rams, bro. To be honest, you know what I mean?
Oh no, that'd be
the Hollywood Rams. It's their MO. You know what I mean? Fake Shanahan over there. Sean McVay's he's gonna call him up like, hey, Anna, what do you feel about coming over to the Hollywood Rams?
Hey, I'm curious though. How do you guys feel about Jalen Hurts? Because I know a lot of people were talking about why didn't the Philadelphia Eagles offer up their 3 first-round picks and Jalen Hurts for Russ Wilson? Is that a sign of confidence or a vote of confidence in Jalen Hurts? Or
it's a no trade clause. Russ was like,
But to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love.
I mean, it's really like he looks over at Sierra and she's like,
Yeah.
I mean? He's like,
But I feel that, bro. But it's like Philadelphia or Denver. I don't know about y'all, but I'm taking Philadelphia all day, every day. And they got the Philly cheesesteaks.
Denver's a beautiful place. And here's one thing that Russ did. Whenever you get these quarterbacks to go on these shows, man, and they can get a little candid and get out of the scripted what's the word I'm looking for? Coached up talk, you know what I mean? Where they're coached up to speak a certain way in these media. And one thing Russ said, he got a little off cuff. He was like, all my friends back in the East Coast, they want me to come to the East Coast. But I said, I'm in the West Coast now because that's where all my family's at.
Right.
And
he did.
That goes along with what Tom Brady said. When Tom Brady ultimately went with the Bucs, because he has a bastard child out of wedlock. His oldest kid, and that kid. Sorry, my bad. I'd be forgetting that I'm not on my show where I can just say crazy stuff like that. But that child, he didn't want to be far from him. The child lives in New York. You know what I mean? That's his oldest son. You know what I mean? From his relationship prior to that. And so, but the Buccaneers being in Florida, that kind of was like a deal maker for him. You know what I mean? Like, okay, cool. It's not going to be so hard to not be around my other son who, outside this marriage. You know what I mean? Because then Frisco for Tom Brady would have made sense too, because that's where his mammy and pappy live. You know what I mean? And Nana and all them. You know what I mean? And Gam and them. You know what I'm saying?
I guess one thing I forgot to bring up. My bad, bro. You said.
No, go ahead.
I guess one thing I forgot to bring up was that Seattle was actually looking to deal Russell Wilson outside of the NFC, and so maybe that's why the list of teams that was kind of limited. But Nick, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. We talked about Bobby Wagner. DK Metcalf is due for a contract extension this offseason. Is he going to be more reluctant to re-sign in Seattle, knowing that he doesn't have a quarterback, and because he is in a contract year, he's going to want to put on his stats. And so, do you think DK Metcalf, should we trade him? What's his future?
I don't know if I'd trade him yet, but he's definitely going to be questioning. I mean, when you go from Russell Wilson, regardless of what you think about him, he's way better than Drew Lock. When you go from a guy like Russell Wilson to Drew Lock, you're definitely going to have questions. And when the quarterback position's a question mark for the years to come, it's going to make you kind of think, because even if the money's there, you're going to want to get good stats and build a legacy. And if you have a bad quarterback, that's really hard for a wide receiver to do. So no doubt do I think he's going to be kind of questioning that, and it'll be a lot tougher to extend him. But I think we still got a year, and we can tag him to look at different extension options through there, maybe tag and trade him in the next couple years. And but I think for the most part, he's here right now.
I want to say one thing that's going to be really missed by these receivers is, Russell Wilson is great with ball placement. And, when you have a quarterback like a Drew Lock, who's just gonna look at DK as just a big dude, like, hey, I'm just gonna chuck it up to him and he'll make the play. And that's how guys get hurt, man. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying, getting blasted in midair trying to catch this 50-50 ball. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that's the one thing that where I would, if I'm DK, I can see the Fant, being like, hey man, I'm not rolling with this, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like he's already thrown, what do you call it? Like, the diva tantrums, which is like par for the course. When you're a badass receiver, bro, you know what I mean? It's kind of par for the course that you got to be a diva when you know what I mean? Because you the baddest, bro. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Even getting so bad, he got thrown out the game. He's like, listen, I'm getting back in this game, bro. On the sideline. Y'all remember that? He got thrown out the game and he came back on the sideline, bro. But like no one would recognize him, bro.
But oh my gosh. I think the way that I'm starting to look at things now, I feel like, you know what? If we're truly in a rebuilding stage, I know DK Metcalf is 23, 24 years old. I know he's still young enough to be a part of a rebuild, but why not just completely start over from scratch? Yeah. I mean, I love DK, but it's like whatever quarterback we bring in, whether that's, this year or next offseason, I mean, he's going to have to start anew. Him and Russ, they're actually close. Not only do they work out in Mexico or in other states in the NFL offseason, but those guys actually genuinely have love for each other. And so with DK, I don't know. I just kind of think that maybe he might give a hard time to whoever is quarterbacking, the Seahawks next. So it's like, okay, you know what? We're steering towards a rebuild. I know he's young enough to be a part of this next regime, but it's like we might as well just rebuild entirely from the ground up. And let's dedicate, these next couple of drafts to building and replicating what Seattle was able to do in the early portion of the 2000s. Emmett, if you're John Schneider, are you entertaining any DK offers, or is he a building block in which you feel like you're going to have to hold on to if Seattle's going to win another Super Bowl within the next 5 to 10 years?
I mean, I think if I was John Schneider, I'm for sure looking at some trade options for him. I think especially knowing what you can fetch. I believe Dallas traded away, I think it was a first round pick for Amari Cooper a couple of years ago. And I think you look at DK Metcalf as probably a lot of people already have DK Metcalf above Amari Cooper. I personally don't, but I think you can still probably fetch like a first round pick for him. I think that the problem with that is that probably not a whole lot of teams that are good are going to be trading you for him. So you're probably going to be looking at a first round pick in the 20s or something. But I think that a first round pick, if you're offered that for DK, maybe even if it's a first and a fourth, I think you have to take it, and you can just kind of start from scratch, build up a new receiving core, especially with, seeing some of the reports that apparently Tyler Lockett's on the trading market too. I don't see any reason to put DK through any sort of stress with trying to, build a rapport with like a Drew Lock who's only going to be there for 1 year, or a young QB who's not Russell Wilson, because I think you've seen a lot. And I think specifically in games against Jalen Ramsey, if he's not getting the ball, he can get pretty frustrated, and you're still going to be doing that. And I think that if that's going to be an even, I think that's going to be, multiplied by, X amount if he's getting, if he's wide open and you have Drew Lock sailing the ball over his head, and I think he's going to want out. And I do think, but to kind of conclude, I do think I would entertain some offers as long as it included a first round pick at the minimum.
Yeah, I'm glad he was on the same page, bro. Because like I'm saying, like these star wide receivers, bro. They, you know what I mean? Like Tyler Lockett's probably more humble than anything, but DK, he's that guy that knows he's that guy. And if he ain't getting the targets, he ain't like. I mean, he was already acting up when it was Russ. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think kind of the leadership aspect too, of where DK kind of does have that attitude to where he needs like a veteran leader. And now you don't got Russ, you don't have Bobby, who's really that leader on your team. I mean, we're looking at a really young team right now. So I think that's definitely kind of going to play into consideration to where you don't really want DK feeling like he can just do whatever he wants on the sideline, because that's not going to end well. And also, I don't really feel like, well, he's a good receiver. I don't feel he's like a receiver that you're going to shape your offense around and really rebuild around. So, yeah, I mean, if we're getting offered a first and like fourth, I think I'd be inclined to take it.
As a smash.
But I do think that the interesting thing when it comes to that is it possible that he, without a Russell Wilson or without a Tyler Lockett or without, even a Bobby Wagner on the defense, is it possible that someone like DK Metcalf, who I think we would all agree that he has some sort of, star power.
Yeah.
I think,
yeah.
Do you think it's possible that there's a situation where he winds up, maturing into that leader role? And then eventually, because I think if you see that over the next year, then there's no reason that you couldn't see, if they draft, a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud in 2023, or heck, even a Malik Willis this year, if he has to step up and be that leader, I think that then if you see that, then I think it's possible that he sticks around for the long haul.
Yeah, and that's why I totally agree with you. And that's why I think I'd probably wait a year and maybe like tag and trade him. I don't think I'd trade him this offseason.
I agree.
Hey, what's it called? So my guy Bugard here has to leave in just a second. But this kind of just came.
Like 5 minutes.
Like 5 minutes. Okay. I want to hear you guys' reactions. I'm not saying this is realistic. I'm not saying, Seattle's going to do this, or not even saying that they should. But we all know that the Jacksonville Jaguars have the #1 overall pick in the draft. Ooh. We all know that they have a Trevor Lawrence. We all know that they have a pressing need at wide receiver. And I understand there isn't a single generational can't miss prospect. And so there isn't a guy worth taking.
They would take the lineman or the pass rusher. That's what
So Bogart knows where I'm going. So what if what if Jacksonville offered the #1 overall pick to the Seahawks for number 9 and DK, and then Jacksonville maybe sends their second, which would be atop the second round this year, and then a future, let's say, third.
I think
go ahead.
How feasible is that?
I think it's a dream. I think it's more pipe dream than anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what? Last year, before they drafted Trevor Lawrence, I was saying that while Russ was like, I want to go to these places, Dallas, blah, 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 like, you can name all these places, right? I said, crazy old Pete needs to pick up the phone and call Jacksonville and be like, I got Russell Wilson for y'all. And they could have got that first overall and took Lawrence there. You know what I mean? Yeah. I thought that they had it there where they could have hit the reset button there. You know what I mean? But obviously the no trade clause, he probably was like, I ain't going to Jacksonville to even entertain that. You know what I mean? But I maybe it was more pipe dream saying that out loud now. But you know what I mean? I think Jacksonville, to get the 1 for a DK, they're not doing that. I think taking the lineman is probably what the best thing that Joe Burrow, look at what happened this year.
Yeah.
Getting Jamar Chase helps for sure. And now that they're Super Bowl, it's a good thing they were a successful team, a Super Bowl contending team, because now they're a draw for other linemen, things that they can get in free agency. Now, before that, no one would want to go there and play in Cincy. You know what I mean? And I think no one would ever want to go to Jacksonville like that. So they got to draft. They got to home grow everything, and they got to start with protecting Lawrence. And that guy he's like the talk of the town for the combine, right? That lineman. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's.
Oh, go ahead.
No, it's good.
Emmett, am I crazy for bringing up such a trade scenario, or is that totally just a pipe dream, or is there any sort of substance in that at all?
I do think that it is a little bit over the top, but I think what you said, DK and the 9th pick for the 1, and then some late round draft picks.
Uh-huh.
I think that Jacksonville, honestly, I think they would do that, because you are getting the number 9. You are getting the number 9 overall pick, and what you are getting is you're getting a #1 wide receiver, which they don't currently have. They have a bunch of C+, B- guys, but you can go out and you can get a B+, A-, depending on how you feel about DK Metcalf. You can go out and get yourself a bona fide #1 receiver. The downside is that you're going to have to pay him. But even if you're getting that number 9 overall pick, and even if you're getting, I believe Steezy added on like a second or so, I think you could leverage that to trade him back into, maybe even trading back into the top 5 and getting a guy like a Kyle Hamilton who could be a playmaker on defense. And even depending on where Seattle goes with that #1 pick, shoot, maybe Evan Neal's still there. I've seen a bunch of mock drafts that have him, sliding down to 5 or 6, just depending on, positional need. Because I think you look at the Jaguars, they for sure don't need a tackle at 1. They have Cam Robinson, who they just franchise tagged. So I think that there is potential. I do think that it is a little bit far-fetched to be trading the #1 overall pick for a DK Metcalf, who you're going to basically have to sign to an extension.
Yeah.
Most likely this year, or worst case scenario, a franchise tag. But if I was Jacksonville, I would at least consider it.
It's crazy. I wasn't aware they tagged Cam Robinson over there.
Well, they tagged him again? Because I know they tagged him last year.
Yeah,
they tagged him again.
Yeah, because that guy just Like he just can't stay healthy, man. But he's on paper supposed to be a monster, though. You know what I mean?
Right, especially when you look at that build, ain't no hate against him, but I just feel like Cam Robinson is not the guy to protect Trevor Lawrence's blind side. If you want Cam Robinson on your football team, start him at right tackle. I don't think he's the guy. I think Evan Neal, if they don't decide to go the DK Metcalf route, I would take Evan Neal. I think not only is he the most polished, he's the best pass protector. He might have a little bit of work to do in the run blocking aspect of his game, but that's something that you could teach. You can't. No, that's all about desire, right? When it comes to run blocking, it's all about how bad do you want it. When it comes to pass protection, that's something you can teach.
Let's get grimy.
Exactly, because we always talk about how games are won in the trenches, and so when it comes to run blocking, it's all about your desire, how strong you are, how much you're willing to kind of lay out there. But Bogart, before you go, I have a couple of mini questions for you. One, what does Seattle do with Tyler Lockett? 2, predict Seattle's record next year. And then 3, who's Seattle's starting quarterback come week 1 of next season?
Okay. I wish I would have took a look at New England's cap space, because I could see New England trying to trade for, just put weapons around their youngster, right? Maybe even Jacksonville, the aforementioned Jacksonville could be someone they pick up the phone and call and be like, yo, we got Tyler Lockett, because they actually do have cap room to bring in a guy who's on a fairly team-friendly deal. I think they, if I remember correctly, when they extended him, they kind of restructured it, right? They extended him last year.
Are you talking about Tyler Lockett?
Yeah.
He signed, I think it was a 4-year, $66 million deal.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was the big. Yeah. He got the big extension.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he goes to a quarterback that he's very familiar with, and because of it, he's willing to restructure when he gets there with the Broncos. Maybe, you know what I mean? That would be kind of cool, actually. Yeah. Three wide receiver sets with Sutton, Judy, and Lockett. You know what I mean? Wow. Russ throwing 80 yards down the field because of the high altitude. You know what I mean? The Tyler Lockett. You know what I'm saying? But and then I think I'll just put the under over at 5. Let's just put and I'll take the under.
Dubs?
Yeah, I'll take the under. Because Drew Lock is just like I told you, bro. His signature maneuver is like roll out to the right and then throw a big pick. You know what I mean? He's like he got that down. And then what was the last question again?
Seattle's record. Oh no.
Starting quarterback.
Thank you. I mean
for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be. It's gonna be whatever rookie, because I think that's the route they're going. I think if they lose out on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, because like I said, this is just my opinion. I think from what the information that I've gathered, obsessing over this particular subject, I think he ends up paying all kind of settlements off, and then come April 1st, people are going to come knocking for Watson, and if they can't get in that door, they're going to draft a youngster with the 9 spot. You know what I'm saying? I really think they're going to do that, because I think Pete Carroll, I think he has visions of grandeur, and you can't blame him, because he's done this before with Schneider. They've hit lightning in a bottle with a young QB who beats out a veteran. But this time it's not Matt Flynn, it's Drew Lock. Anyone's going to beat Drew Lock, but I mean, this story has been told, and a lot of people, they want to go back to familiar places because those memories are nice and warm, and he's probably going to try to rekindle that. So I think it's a youngster. And I think it'll be Malik Willis. I think that's who they would look at. You know what I mean? And I would say the interest for Malik Willis from Seattle is going to be ramping up with pro days and all that stuff. You're going to see Pete Carroll in there. And this is why I say this, because they're probably more than likely going to not get him and trade out of there and go get like a Corral early in the second or something. You know what I mean? They're going to do Seattle things, man. Like Schneider and them, they did all these things and it worked for years. You know what I mean? It's just so this is the hard reset. They're going to try to do exactly what they've done before. Like there's a blueprint. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but they have the blueprint nonetheless.
Man, bro, all I know is that the rest of this offseason is going to be very, very, very depressing unless we land a Deshaun Watson. But Bogart Scott-Free representing the GMM Network, my brother, thank you so much for hopping off. For those of you guys that are tuned in, I understand he's a San Francisco 49ers fan, but he's one of the coolest 49er fans that I know, so it's okay.
Hey.
Please shower him with some love. I know, us
Y'all
Seahawks
can
fans,
tap
get
in
along
and
with
I'll talk shit about my Niners with y'all, man. I'm a realist when it comes to my fandom, you know what I mean? Yeah. I tried to sell a T-shirt that said "We win ugly with handsome Jimmy." For God's sakes, you know what I mean?
Hey,
I love my
that.
team.
I will buy that.
It's a good shirt.
But hey, at the GMM Network, one of the smartest and most intelligent fantasy gurus that I know. I've been taking part in so many different fantasy football leagues with him. I'm taking part in Dynasty for the first time this year. I'm in a couple of those with my man right here. So for all things San Francisco 49ers, NFL, fantasy football, please follow and subscribe at the GMM Network. My brother Bogart Scott-Free, thank you again so much for spending some time with us. Nick and Emmett will probably be on here for another 10 to 15 minutes.
Sounds
good. Bogart, if you have any last words, please let the audience know.
Yeah, per usual, I just want to say the earth is my turf. Universe, give me money. And I'll see you guys in the trenches. You know what I mean? And I definitely tap in. Well, actually, I do have one more thing because I always forget to do this part, right? But check us out on the GMM Network on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe. And shout out to my man, the fantasy football hustler. Be sure to subscribe to us over there too. We're doing live streams all day. We go on live tomorrow for a show called Fantasy News Today. 2:00 p.m. West Coast time, 5:00 p.m. East Coast time, and also catch my show tomorrow night live, 6:30 p.m. West Coast time for the Real Fantasy Playmakers. We're breaking down all the free agency movements so far, all the fantasy implications, and man, for all you degenerates, that's where you're gonna find a home with us over there at the GMM Network. Thank you, my brother Steezy, for having me once again, and I'm tapping in, bro.
Hey, none but love, family. Thank you so much. Thank you,
bro.
For real, bro. We're going to keep
Likewise.
in touch.
Peace, y'all.
All right. And then there were three. So Nick and Emmett, I saw a comment. Somebody was talking about Marcus Mariota as a potential option at quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. And if we're talking about stopgap bridge options at quarterback, I don't think we could do any worse than Marcus Mariota. Whoever wants to go first, your thoughts?
Nick, I'll let you handle that.
All right. Yeah. I mean, Marcus would be a solid option. He had a couple good years in Tennessee, and I think he'd be a great bridge option. Maybe we could win a few games with him. He'd definitely bring a interesting part with his mobility, and I think he'd be fine. He'd be cheaper.
He'd be a lot cheaper. Emmett, before you go, there's Marcus Mariota. There's a Carson Wentz. There's a Jimmy Garoppolo. There aren't very many options, but out of all those guys, do you think Marcus Mariota trumps the options at veteran quarterback, or is Marcus Mariota the guy? Mitch Trubisky, I forgot to bring him up.
Personally, I think Carson Wentz is probably the best quarterback out of all those. However, I wouldn't give anything up for Carson Wentz, especially with that contract. Yeah. But I do think looking at Marcus Mariota, he's going to be probably your best option for a stopgap quarterback. He's going to be good he's going to be good in the run game. Obviously, Nick mentioned his mobility. I think that, Marcus Mariota, I don't know how you get much better than that in terms of a stopgap quarterback. I think that he's honestly kind of earned, especially with being, a backup quarterback for a bit in the league. I think he's earned at least a second opportunity at trying to lead an NFL franchise. I don't particularly think that the Seahawks are going to be, signing him to any mega deals after a season where they potentially win, a max 7 or 8 games. Let's say everything goes correct. But I think Marcus Mariota is probably going to be your best option as a stopgap quarterback, as Nick said.
Man, to even have to talk about these guys, I never would have imagined I'd be going in on YouTube, talking about Carson Wentz, Jimmy Garoppolo, Marcus Mariota. No disrespect to any of these guys, obviously, but relatively speaking, I mean, none of these guys can even closely approximate Russell Wilson's value to our Seattle Seahawks. Do you guys think that Pete Carroll, is he going to have – I know a lot of people talk about how before Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll didn't have any sort of success whatsoever. He had consecutive 7-9 seasons in Seattle. Is Russell Wilson the guy? No. I don't want to phrase it like that, but who's more responsible for Seattle's success? Is it Pete Carroll? Is it Russell Wilson? Or would you say that there's other pieces that kind of go into play?
I think that I would say that it's probably John Schneider has the and a combination of Pete Carroll in there too. I mean, I think you look, and personally, I don't think Russell Wilson wins, the second Super Bowl and gets to, or wins his first Super Bowl and gets to a second one in his third year. I don't think that happens if they don't have the Legion of Boom sticking around. And so I think when it comes to that, I think you're looking at a Pete Carroll or a John Schneider in terms of roster construction. But I think obviously Russell Wilson's a big part of that. I think you saw what was it? I think they still had. Did they draft Cam in what year was it, Stevie?
Cam
Chancellor.
Bro, that was back in 2010.
2010. So you're looking at a situation like that where they were extremely young and they just kind of sort of found lightning in a bottle. I wouldn't necessarily attribute it all to Russell Wilson, but I don't think you can't give him zero credit either.
Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, when you look at this, I mean, we don't have any Legion of Boom. We probably don't have another Super Bowl. I mean, we're irrelevant probably for this whole past decade if Pete Carroll and John Schneider aren't here, if they didn't build that team. I mean, they brought Russ in, they brought Legion of Boom in, and kind of like Emmett said, I think we kind of gave Russ his ring because with all due respect to him, phenomenal player, but I think any QB with that defense and run game would certainly get high into the playoffs, maybe even the Super Bowl. You know what? You got to definitely give some credit to Russ. He's definitely pulled us out of scenarios, won us games. So for that, I credit him. Definitely a collective kind of deal.
I remember I opened the show, off by talking about just how heartbroken, I was. But the more that I think about it, I'm not super mad. Guru was talking about it earlier, but Russ, he's been out there flirting with other girls for years now. And all I know is that if my girl was out there behind the scenes flirting with other teams, flirting with other guys, behind my back, in front of my back, chances are I probably wouldn't be with her today. And so, maybe we did make the best decision. I don't think this was a scenario in which Russell Wilson was just like, yo, get me out of here. I want out. I definitely feel like Seattle, for one, they didn't want to pay, for Russell Wilson's next contract, because I know that there were reports after the trade, became official that Russell Wilson wanted an extension that was going to make him the highest paid quarterback in the game. And so if Aaron Rodgers just signed an extension for 4 years and $200 million with an average annual value of $50 million, what's Russell Wilson going to ask for? And if Russell Wilson in the past, not only has he flirted, John Schneider has also flirted. Remember when he flirted with the Cleveland Browns? He talked about giving up Russell Wilson for the first overall pick that ended up becoming a Baker Mayfield. Remember when he showed up to Josh Allen's pro day? And
Kyler Murray.
And Kyler Murray. Russell Wilson's camp was absolutely irked. Not only that, before Russell Wilson signed his first extension with the Seahawks, there was talks of us trading him to the Giants, just because that was when he was still kind of, fresh with Sierra, and Sierra wanted to be in a big market, but yada, 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 yada. But the point is, there's been so many different scenarios of flirtation between Russ, between John Schneider. Pete Carroll has always sounded non-committal. And so I guess, this is how things got to be. I mean, maybe it's been written, maybe the writing's been on the wall, and a lot of us have just been delusional about it. But I also remember a couple of months ago, as you guys might or might not know, I have a little side job at a Lids. It's a hat store at the South Center Mall. And I remember it was around Christmas time. I went to the Seattle team shop and I saw Russell Wilson's jersey on sale for 30% off. And I remember speaking with someone, who has a little bit of knowledge and what goes on behind the scenes and whatnot. And he had told me that, usually when jerseys go on sale, it's because the NFLPA or the Players Association for whatever other league, they know something before we do. And they know things behind the scenes well before the media puts it out there. And so now I'm kind of curious, has this trade, I know the trade was in the works for the last couple of weeks, but has this trade been in the works for the last couple of months?
I do believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think especially you look at, I think you guys brought it up earlier and you guys compared it to the relationship. I think you look at Russell Wilson putting out that was probably the end of the relationship right there. Or I guess the end of the possible salvageable relationship. When Russell Wilson put out the 4 teams that he doesn't want to be traded, but if he wanted to be traded, those were the 4 teams he'd want to go to. I think you look at that, and that was kind of a death knell in the relationship. There's not too much to recover from that. I don't think that there was, and I do think that it's probably been in the works for a while. One last point before I send it over to Nick. Knowing the South Center Mall and knowing the Seattle team shop, hey, 30% off, but it's still going to run you $150. Expensive.
Oh yeah.
Nah, no doubt. Nick, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like the whole Russ thing, I was bummed out. I mean, he's done so much for the city, and it'll definitely be sad to see him go. But I do think the time was right. But honestly, I was more hurt about Bobby Wagner. I mean, you look at a true leader on that defense, a guy who, yeah, he was slowing down, but I think he still had a couple good years left. And then you kind of go to question things. I mean, Quandre Diggs is a free agent. DJ Reed, Sidney Jones, Al Woods on the D-line. I mean, we got a lot of guys on that defense who are free agents, and now you see Bobby Wagner's not there. That's kind of your leader on the defense. That's kind of your commander-in-chief on the defense, the QB of the defense, you know. I think in a lot of cases he was our defense. And so now you got those guys hitting free agency. It really makes you question if, you know, they're going to go elsewhere and take big deals or follow Bobby elsewhere.
Okay, so we're about to wrap this up in the next 5 minutes or so. But before we head on over to the viewers, you know, asking questions and whatnot. So with Seattle opening up even more cap space with the departure of a Bobby Wagner, if I'm not mistaken, Seattle now has almost upwards of $50 million in cap room to work with. We're all on record saying that Seattle, we all think is rebuilding. But if you're John Schneider, and when you see just how fast, how quick, you know, it is for these teams to kind of turn around from last to first. You know, we look at the Bengals, for example. Obviously, they have a Joe Burrow, but outside of Joe Burrow, they signed a couple of key free agents. They drafted very well. Seattle, okay, we can all agree that Seattle is rebuilding. But with 50 plus million in cap space, with more draft capital and flexibility, and with the oldest head coach in the league, how are you attacking free agency this offseason? Okay, maybe we let Quandre Diggs go. Maybe we let Dwayne Brown go. But are you guys targeting any guys? Are there any guys out there that you'd be willing to throw big money to, knowing that they could be a part of what's next in Seattle?
I mean, I think you look at something like this, and I think that I just kind of thought of this as you were kind of going through that monologue when you're speaking about how much cap space they have. Yeah. I think that there's a potential, and I don't know exactly. I want to hear both of your guys' thoughts on this. What do you think about Seattle potentially being a team that's going to use all this draft capital, go build up, you know, I think that potentially holding on to a Tyler Lockett, obviously holding on to a DK Metcalf. You have a young guy in Noah Fant. If you resign Rashad Penny, you're looking at a good offense in terms of weapons. Obviously, that offensive line's still got to be touched up. But, I mean, can we look at Seattle as a potential team who, I mean, next year is the next Denver, where we're looking at them and, oh, they're just a quarterback away. They went out and spent all this money in free agency. I don't necessarily know if that's the plan, but I honestly find it a little bit hard to believe that, you know, Pete Carroll would sign off on this sort of thing. Again, speaking up that he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild.
Yeah.
Nick?
No, I mean, I think we can definitely retool in the next couple of years. I mean, I saw somewhere like going into not this offseason, but the next, we got like 140 million with only of our current roster, only like 82 million allocated. And now granted with free agents and draft picks we signed this year, that number's going to go down, but that's still going to be a lot of money. And then you look at, we have 2 first round picks in 2023. But I think we can definitely go out and get guys for this offseason. We have 50 million, and the number one, like, not even position, but position group that needs to be addressed, we have to add pass rushers. I mean, if we can get in a consistent pass rush, our defense is going to totally look super different. Even if we're sticking guys like Sidney Jones and Trey Brown at corner, if we're getting to the quarterback quickly, oh man, our team's going to be so much more improved. Get a guy like Von Miller, Chandler Jones, maybe a guy inside too to pair with Shelby Harris and Poona Ford. Get a guy like Akeem Hicks. And yeah, I mean, definitely has to be pass rush.
See, I think for me, Nick, you bring up some great names, Chandler Jones, Von Miller, but for me, it's like, where's the appeal in going to Seattle now? Obviously they have a lot of money to throw, but there's no quarterback. Obviously, we know that we're not going to be competing for any Super Bowls anytime soon. So if I'm Von Miller, if I'm Calais Campbell, if I'm Chandler Jones, if I'm Stephon Gilmore, if I'm Akeem Hicks, these guys are all veterans. Why go to Seattle? There's other teams that could throw money at me. I want to win too. And so I know the draft is deeper at edge rusher, our guys that can get after the quarterback. We do have 2 second-round picks. We have a couple of, mid-round picks. We have a whole bunch of picks now. And knowing us, we're probably going to trade down. And so we're going to accumulate even more picks. But for me, I think this is definitely a turnoff when it comes to the free agent market. We see guys getting tagged already. I mean, Devonta Adams got the tag. Chris Godwin got the tag. Jesse Bates got the tag. Mike Gesicki in the Dolphins. Dalton Schultz. Yeah, all these guys are getting tagged. David Njoku. And so it's like, man, this is definitely going to be looked at as somewhat of a redshirt year. Seattle, like Guru so brilliantly said, you got to take, a step backward, maybe even a couple steps backward to eventually move forward. And so maybe that's the plan here. I just hope Pete Carroll and John Schneider, they know what they're doing. I know they did catch lightning in a bottle those first couple of years, but let's face it, this team has not drafted well in the last decade or so. Yeah, we've had a couple of hits, a couple of nice guys, here and there, but overall, we can't be throwing away first-round draft picks just like that. Like, yeah, if we're going to trade them, at least trade them for premium position type players, because these guys that we're trading, these guys aren't at premium positions. Jimmy Graham, tight end, that was more of a luxury. Percy Harvin, more of a luxury. Jamal Adams, more of a luxury. None of these guys play premium positions. The Rams, they traded first-round picks for premium positions. Quarterback Matthew Stafford, cornerback Jalen Ramsey, a pass rusher Von Miller. And so I don't have a problem with Seattle trading first-round picks, but if you're going to trade them, at least trade them for premium positions. A need. Don't trade for wide receivers, tight ends, what? That's why a lot of these trades have not worked out for us, just because we're not using the trade capital correctly. I think the Rams, while it might not be the most sustainable, it's definitely a blueprint that teams can follow if executed properly. Obviously, a lot easier said than done. But before we go to the audience out there, there's still 150 plus people tuned in. Wow, nice. I didn't expect that many people to be tuned in after 2 hours. Thank you so much for spending your guys' Tuesday night with us. But before we log off, before we go, if you guys have any questions you guys want us to answer, anything that you're curious, anything you're kind of dying to hear or learn about, please drop them in the chat below. All super chats also greatly appreciated. But while we're waiting for that to come in, Nick, if you want to plug yourself, and then Emmett, if you want to follow in after him. Let the good folks know where we can find you guys. And all that good stuff. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so my channel is Seattle Sports Talk, where I'm talking mainly about the Seahawks, but kind of branching into other Seattle sports. I'm actually this weekend relaunching my channel. Kind of took a break for a few months, not really posting at all. So we're kind of going full in with the rebrand. All that you can find Seattle Sports Talk on all social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Let's go. Emmett?
For me, Instagram and Twitter is, as you see on your screen, Emmett J. Savoras. I did just start up a podcast a couple weeks ago with one of my good friends, Dallas Wicklander. It's called the C Team Pod. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter. The YouTube is just going to be under my name, no J in the middle. It's just Emmett Savoras. I'm very excited. We're talking Seahawks, we're talking Packers, and we're squeezing in a little bit of baseball at the end with some stuff like the Mariners. We've been talking about the lockout. So if you're looking for any MLB news, NFL news, please check out the channel.
Yeah, Seattle Sports Talk, all social media platforms. The C Team Podcast, all social media platforms. But if you want to find it on YouTube at MJ Savoras, I actually encountered that problem myself. I think it was the other day when I was trying to look up your guys' first episode. I looked at the C Team Podcast, and then MJ Savoras, the channel popped up, and I was just like, wait a minute, is it on his channel? But are you looking to rebrand that, or are you going to keep it under your name?
I think we are looking at a rebrand. I'm just trying to figure some stuff out. I think right now I'm focusing a little bit more on the content side of things with, just figuring out some of the editing stuff. I'm for sure going to be, picking Squabo and Steezy's brain about some of the stuff like that. But again, very excited to get all that stuff started.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Cam. Thank you so much for the super chat. I'd like to know Emmett's thoughts on the Green Bay versus Seattle NFC Championship. Great show, by the way. Thank you so much for tuning in, Cam. But the floor is yours, Emmett.
Man, that was the worst game I've ever watched in terms of like emotional damage. That was horrible. I'll never get over that one. I was talking to my podcast partner Dallas just a little bit ago, and I don't think I'll ever get over that game. But I mean, what did help is, you know, what happened 2 weeks later. I don't know if you guys know, but like, you know, Russell, they were that close to winning the Super Bowl, and then something happened. I'm not sure what happened. I turned the game off, so I didn't see.
Oh, Emmett, he just had to throw a jab in there. He just had to throw in a
jab. Got to defend myself.
Thank you so much, Cam. Dennis, Perry, do you know, guys, how long of a rope the owner is going to give Pete Carroll?
Ooh.
I can't say very long, right? I can't. It has to be. I mean, I'm assuming already that he's probably on his way out next year anyway. Unless you're seeing a team who has, you know, great success in terms of, you know, getting a 9-10 win team, which I just don't foresee happening. I think that it's extremely short and possibly even non-existent.
Hey, at the Reflect the Sun, thank you so much for the super chat. You've been tuned in and you've been, you know, dropping your comments throughout the show. So thank you so much for showing love. Again, if you guys have any last second questions, we're about to sign off here in the next minute or so. I think for me to answer the question, see, Pete Carroll, after Jody Allen, he is the Seattle Seahawks. And so I don't think, you know, if Jody Allen isn't super invested, you know, in the team, and if the rumors are true, if she is indeed looking to sell this football team, Pete Carroll is literally going to be the Seattle Seahawks. Like, he's going to, I don't know if he's going to own the Seahawks, obviously, but there's no one above him. Honestly, there's no one above him. And so I think his leash is as long as he wants it. I think his leash is as long as it's until he calls it quits. It's as long as until he decides to retire and say, you know what, I'm 70 plus years old. I got grandkids, I got kids and whatnot. I don't think he has a leash, you know, just because he is the Seattle Seahawks. He has all this power. He is the executive vice president of operations. He has more say. He has more power than John Schneider. Oh, yeah. And so to answer your question again, I don't think he has any sort of leash. It's until he retires, honestly. Pete Carroll should be here forever. Knock wood, dude. Has won everywhere. He didn't win with the Jets, though. I don't believe. But that could be a conversation saved for another day. Again, though, do you guys have any last comments or questions? I'm going to close this out right here.
No. Thank you so much for having me. It was super fun. Good meeting you, Emmett. And yeah, it was a great show.
Hey, great meeting you too. I had so much fun. Always love coming on here, you know, chatting it up, meeting new people. I think I met Dylan last time. Met a bunch of people this time. Can't even remember all the names, but you know, just always awesome being on Talking Ball.
Man, you know, a lot of these shows, I feel like if I spend a little bit more time, you know, prepping and kind of figuring out like, okay, I want this person to come in at this time. I want this person to talk about this and that. I think I'm kind of putting a little bit too much on my plate by inviting so many different people. But I think just having, you know, so many different personalities and you know, different people like you guys hopping on, I think it's definitely a blast, especially for the audience, you know, just seeing new faces and whatnot. So, you know, Emmett, Nick, thank you guys so much for taking the time yet again. Again, the C Team podcast, all social media platforms, at the Seattle Sports Talk, all social media platforms. For those of you guys that are still tuned in, you're already here. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe. We are on the road to 4,000. We're slowly but surely making our way towards that. If you guys haven't already, also please drop a like. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at SteezyA Smith, Twitter, same handle at SteezyA Smith. But that's it for us, y'all. Hope you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. It's been a very fun and entertaining last couple of hours, but nothing but love, y'all. And as always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Pack Go.
All right, y'all. Again, this video is going to be dedicated to Mr. Todd Nas. While that concludes this video, we have loads of other content. You don't have to stop watching there. Other content on our channel homepage, as well as our social media platforms. And again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for us. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Nothing but love, and Steezy out.